Hey guys, welcome back to the second official club meeting of our anime club.
Just Anime Club?
Just Anime Club.
Anime Club.
I'm your club president, Fabe. We have, of course, our vice president, Huck, with us today. And... in Asia?
And
Didn't
me,
we?
hi.
I thought
I'm
we
here
figured a
too.
title. I
Just
thought
Girl.
we figured a title.
Here to
The
help
girl.
organize things.
Who
Secretary.
can organize things and knows stuff.
I know stuff, apparently.
So, quick recap of last time.
Yes, quick
Yeah.
recap. Quick
Quick recap.
Recap.
Quick
Recap.
Recap.
Everybody, recap.
Recap.
Yeah, pretty much last time we just kind of hung out and talked about anime. We talked about a lot of stuff, so you guys should just check it out on YouTube on this channel
It's
because
true.
it's on there. We talked about top 5
Yep.
favorites,
Top 5
all of
anime
us,
of
and
all
apparently Fabe was the favorite.
Yes.
I still don't believe it. I don't care what that straw poll said, but it's okay.
He
and we
hacked
just talked
it.
about some pretty like sub versus dubbed and just time to get to know us. So hope you guys go and watch that so you can kind of get caught up and get to know us.
It's on the channel.
And now it's on to what are we watching right now?
What are we currently watching? I'll go first because my
Okay.
list is short. Well, currently I'm watching Code Geass, though I just finished it.
Code Geass, really? Me
Shocker.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
All of
it's,
us are watching the same thing?
Yeah, I'm watching
Unbelievable.
the Lelouch
What
of the
do I-
Rebellion, that one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the
Because
first
there is
one.
another one.
There is another one.
Lelouch of the Rebellion R2.
Another one that I have just begun. It was one that a friend of mine recommended. It's called Azumanga Daioh. It's like a
Never
slice
heard
of
of it.
life one. That's pretty much all I know about it, though. Like, I only watched like the first 2 episodes. It's kind of like one of those quirky school setting ones. So I'm curious about it. It's cutesy and kind of quirky and funny, but it's not something that I would typically watch. So it's kind of fun to do something different. That's what I'm watching.
I will go ahead and go next because I know Fabe that has a lot to talk about. Actually, I only have, besides Code Geass, I watched an anime called Snow White with the red hair, girl with the red hair,
Ooh.
and it was one of the shorter ones, something that you can binge watch pretty quick. But it was really good. Like it had decent comedy. It had good relationships. The only thing that I didn't like really is I almost felt like it was too short, but that's what happens when you binge watch sometimes. It's about a girl who's an herbalist in a kingdom, and she's forced to marry the king that everyone, like, the king tries to make her his concubine. And literally that's how it's presented. And she runs away because she has red hair and it's like odd. And everything. And so she runs away and unknowingly meets some special people that will change her life forever. And it's
sounds
a really good
exciting.
one. It's a good one. I liked it.
Okay.
Apparently, it does have a season 2, by the way, according to the chat.
Yes, it does have a season 2, but it's so new it's not dubbed yet, so I haven't watched it.
Okay. So, I went
Fabe?
a little bit nuts in February.
Fabe, how much anime have you been watching lately?
I've
Yeah,
been
Fabe.
watching like
Overachiever.
about 8 or 9
Oh
anime
God.
in the month. Like, I've been just watching. So, last meeting, I talked about Bakuman and how I loved it. I
Did you
watched
watch it again? Yeah.
I watched it again, and I love it even more now. It's now by far my favorite anime. It's so good. If you
Hashtag
have
obsessed.
any time to spare, it's probably going to be my next one that I want to bring up in the meeting, like in a couple of months. So we're going to
week.
talk about it later. Then I watched one that got recommended to me on Twitter by a random person. I don't think he was even following me. I was just tweeting about Bakuman, and he must have searched for the tweet or something. I don't know. He just answered that tweet here. Why didn't you check out Charlotte? So I checked out Charlotte. And Charlotte is very interesting anime. Very short
right?
one, only 13 episodes. It starts out with high school, and some adolescent students get these special abilities. They are born with them, and during adolescence, they kind of come out, and
Interesting.
usually they are like surprised
Like
what they can do.
superpower type abilities?
Yeah, like superpower type
Okay,
abilities.
okay.
Some really weird ones and some normal ones that you expect. And
Superpowers you'd expect, you know.
like teleportation, that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
okay. So the more
I
classic.
don't expect that. I don't know what. Don't assume, Fabe.
I don't assume. Okay, I'm not gonna assume. Anyways, the anime was not one of the best I've watched at the beginning. Like the first 5 or 6 episodes, it was just about, okay, that a new student turned up in town and he had like a new ability. We need to capture him and educate him about his abilities. And those are abilities they were losing after they became adults. So it was only for a couple of years they had these special abilities. It was just about that. And all of a sudden, the whole story just twists and everything is crazy all of a sudden and
Plot
so much
twist.
deeper than it was before. And then it's over. So it was really
and
weird.
done.
Angel beats.
But it was good?
It was okay. I wouldn't call it good.
You wouldn't
Because
call it good.
I'm seeing a style with you, Fabe. Like if it
He
changes, like does a right hand turn.
Yeah, he likes
You're
the
like,
ones that are
no,
super
just
dramatic.
stop.
No. I really loved when they had this turn in the story where it actually made sense and became about something much bigger than these stupid abilities. But because it was only 13 episodes, it felt like boop, and then it was over. I don't want to spoil anything, but the last episode was like, okay, we have this huge problem, and in all episode we're gonna solve it all.
Just the
And-
conclusion was a little rushed.
Yeah. And I think that's a general problem these days with like 13 episode animes.
Right,
that
right. Well, you're
they
trying
build
to
up
do
the
so
story.
much. Yeah.
And then they don't really have time to elaborate,
Conclude
and they
it.
just have to end it.
Yeah.
That it's gonna happen in another one that I watched too. But after Charlotte, I watched Lock Horizon again in sub this time because Asia said I should try it in sub, and I admit sub is still good.
It's good.
But Nyanta's voice is still.
Nyanta is so good in
It's-
subbed.
It is good. It is still a lot
Nyanta.
better in dubbed. Check it out. I checked out subbed. You gotta check out dubbed.
Okay.
I really feel like when you said check it out, that we should have like you just like
Check it
a
out.
video was gonna come out, and I'm like, well, where's the video? Where's the video? But yeah,
Boom.
I might include the actually one in the when I
Yeah.
edit this.
That'll
Anyways, then because I watched it completely in subbed, I felt like, hey, I'm gonna watch season 2, and I watched season 2 of Lock Horizon. It's even better than the first one.
It's so good.
It's really good. And that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Yeah.
Lock
Say no
Horizon
more.
is still one of my favorites, especially with the season 2. I can't wait for the third one now.
Yeah, I know,
Wow.
right?
So, after that, I watched a pretty popular one, which is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon?
Oh gosh, I saw that one. I didn't watch it, but the title alone, I was like,
Yeah, it's a weird
That's a
title,
really-
and
really
I
the
thought,
title?
okay,
long
Let's give it a
title
chance.
and sounds
is it
it is
shorter
actually-
in Japanese or something?
I don't know what the Japanese name is. I don't know it. But Huck, last meeting you mentioned the harem genre, and I had no idea what that was until
Yeah.
I watched this anime.
It's a
I
big
think that
one. It's a huge
definitely-
one.
and
It
now
definitely
you know.
falls in that genre, but it is good. It is really funny. It is kind of a good story. I really did enjoy it, except that it also
It's kind of a
ended
good
after
story.
13
I really
episodes.
enjoyed it though.
It ended after 13 episodes, and the end was rushed again. Like,
Yeah.
it was really good. I really did.
That's what
enjoy
happens
it.
when a lot of them depending on the story arc. I mean, they just lose funding, even if the manga is good, because they
Yeah.
don't get into the meat and bones till 10, and no one watches it. So
But
It
it is
happens.
good. It is
Nobody
really
gets to that
the
point.
humor is great. I love it. Haki, you would enjoy that too.
I would
Sweet.
You
probably would.
Next.
So-
The next one I watched is from an Asia's list also. I
Ooh.
can't understand what my husband is saying.
Oh yeah, love that one.
It was a weird experience for me because
Isn't
I've
it
never
weird?
watched like an anime where there's like 3-minute episodes.
I know. It's like it feels like a I don't know energy drink of anime. I don't know.
So-
Because you're just like taking shots of like these little clip.
Yeah. But
clip
I watched
shows.
both seasons in one day, so.
Aren't
I
they?
guess.
Yeah, like they go so fast that
Yeah.
you just watch them one after the other.
It was very enjoyable, though. I enjoyed it.
It's goofy. It's just goofy and fun and
Yeah, it
lighthearted.
was different. And sometimes I had a hard time actually picking it up.
Yeah,
Like, I was
no, it's
watching it
true.
subbed, and some jokes just went past me. I
Right,
noticed that.
exactly. Like I feel like some of it is just so deep and like very culturally related to
Yeah.
that I was just like, I don't know what they're talking about, but they
But
look
it was
cute.
good. It
you
was
know?
great. I agree. It was a good, enjoyable anime. And it's watched in one day, and you can't do anything wrong
Yeah,
with it.
yeah, you can watch it all at once. You're done.
It was
I
good.
feel
It's
like
good.
I'm missing out.
You should check it out.
should check it
Crunchyroll.
out.
There you go.
That's basically what I did. I went through Crunchyroll this month and
And just
watched
watched.
everything that looked interesting.
Yeah. And you watched?
The next one that I watched was actually recommended to me by a viewer like probably half a year ago. And ever since then, I had it on my anime list to plan to watch. And I finally watched it. It's Akame ga Kill.
Oh, yeah.
Why does
Oh,
that sound
man. I only
familiar?
just heard of that because in this month's Loot Crate anime box, they had a bag that was themed off of that. And so I saw
that
the
was a
logo
really
and I was like,
enjoyable
that sounds cool.
It's a little bit gory, a lot of blood, and it's basically around
It's just
a group of
animated.
assassins that are trying to kill everyone who's evil because the whole kingdom is corrupted
The
and
Black
all the
Knights?
politics are evil and that kind of stuff, and they just slowly kill all the bad people. And then they have special weapons, but that's just classic anime. Everyone
Yeah.
has to have something special. But it was good. The characters were enjoyable. And I really enjoyed watching that, I gotta say.
Why does that sound so familiar? I feel like I've seen
It
something
sounds like
that.
there's also like Kill la Kill, isn't there?
No. It sounds like that. Sounds like one I've watched, but I don't know if that was the name of it. See, I've watched a lot of anime, and I don't remember half of them, which is one of the reasons why I need to get on
That's
that
why you
list.
need your My Anime list.
So,
Akame.
But yeah, I would recommend that one because even after I was done, like days later, I still felt the urge, I would love to see some more of that. So that's in general a good sign. Like I enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
The next one I watched is Bakano.
Baka
Have you heard of that?
Mm-mm.
It's a pretty short one, I believe. So it plays in the 1930s in Chicago and New York. So it's basically like this whole
interesting.
mafia gang wars.
That's a really strange setting.
It is a strange
especially for an
setting.
anime.
Yeah,
It's
for
a
an
very
anime,
interesting
like,
setting. So it kind of throws you in. And the thing is, there's a lot of characters and a lot of time jumps back and forth, and which makes it really complex. And only very slowly you puzzle together the whole story of the thing. And there's a little bit of supernatural stuff in there too. So you slowly pick up on that, and in the end, it comes all together. It's pretty decent if you like that kind of stuff. It's a little bit hard to digest, I would say, but I enjoyed it. I wouldn't watch it again, though. Like, Akame ga Kill is something that I probably would watch again at some point. Bakano, probably not. But it was definitely an interesting one. And the last one I watched was Mushishi. Have you heard of that?
Mushishi.
It's such
I've
a good
seen
one.
a little bit.
It's such a
I
good
haven't
one.
seen all of it because they were a little slower paced than I was.
They are
patient
very
enough
slow
for.
paced.
But
and
I would like
it's
to
very
watch it.
episodic, too. Like, it's not a cold story. It's
Right.
episode for episode.
There's
Right.
about 2 or 3 that actually need a previous episode, but even
Yeah.
then, you can still pick and like it was. I'm with you on
My
that
sister really loved it, and so I saw some of it while she was.
It's
watching
very
it.
relaxing, and I really enjoyed watching it. It didn't give you the feeling like, okay, I gotta watch more, but it
Yeah.
felt really good to just sit down, relax, and watch an episode or two.
It's not overwhelming
Yeah.
emotionally or something.
Personally,
you
I'm
like-
usually more a fan of the ones that pull you really in, and the story is really pulling you in, and you want to watch more and more. But that was a nice change for me after watching all these other ones. So I really enjoyed that one too.
It's a good
And-
one if you like folklore, like really
Yeah.
good one.
Yes, I've heard that folklore.
And then I watched Code Geass.
Code Geass. Tell us more about Code Geass.
Code
Faye.
Geass is a pretty great anime.
So that's like the theme for today's actual gutsy discussion.
If you didn't get
We're gonna
that
be-
from
Discussing Code Geass.
Yeah, so that was your
Lelouch
homework
of the
basically,
Rebellion.
watching Code
Mhm.
Geass both seasons, so you can discuss it today with us.
Hopefully you guys
and-
all got a chance to watch it. by now.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it is quite a long one with 2 seasons, but I think you
50
guys,
episodes.
we were able to do it.
Yeah.
I was pretty much doing it in 3 days.
I
so.
marathoned it.
Well,
But yeah,
Fabe's
if you haven't seen it yet, there's going to be a lot of spoilers in this discussion.
Yeah.
So
If you haven't seen the ending even,
yeah,
don't watch it because the ending makes the anime.
the ending does make this anime. You got to
And
watch
we're
it all the
discussing
way
that.
through.
We're going to discuss that in depth.
But yeah,
In depth.
spoilers ahead. You've been warned. If you
From
want to
here
watch
on.
Code Geass,
And it's a good
and
one.
You haven't, it's a good one.
It's a really good anime.
you should
wanna watch
probably
it.
just go watch it now.
Now.
Go watch it now.
right now.
Instead
Okay,
of
you're
watching
back.
this.
How did you enjoy it?
How was Code Geass? Yeah.
No, I still love this anime. I watch it now for the 5th time.
Fifth, how do you,
5th time.
I don't understand how you watch them like over and it's
I
just-
watched it for the
Especially
first
this
time
one,
like
that's a
6 years
lot.
ago.
But there's so much anime out there that I don't usually watch ones more than twice because then I want to like see something new, you know.
I have 2 or
We
3 that I watched several times over and over.
We
there.
talked about that last time though, right? Whenever I do some like Minecraft stuff working on the PC, I have something running next to it.
Yeah, yeah.
And usually it's anime that I've already watched, so I know what happened, so I don't have to pay too much attention to it.
So let's get into this.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into
So
it.
the way we're going to do this is we're going to kind of go through it semi-chronologically, kind of try and hit some of the high points and just talk about what happens. Are we ready
right,
to
you
get
guys
into
ready?
this thing?
I think we're ready to get into it.
Okay, here we go. Lead the way, Fabe.
Okay,
Oh,
so
President Day.
quick background again. I said that in a promotional video. I'm going to say it again. It's placed in the real world, basically. At the time the anime came out, it was like in a not too distant future.
Right.
Where the Holy Britannian Empire took over like a third or more of the world. And in 2010, I believe, they took over Japan
Right.
and called it Area 11.
Yeah, like
Um,
each place has its own area name and number, right?
Yeah. So
In their, like,
every
empire.
country they conquered, they just gave it a number. And they forbade the natives to name themselves Japanese, and they were only called 11s. So they were basically really discriminating against
Stripped
the native
of their identity, basically.
people of these countries they conquered. Because they were the weak, and the weak had no rights. That's basically the whole idea of Britannia, I suppose.
Yeah.
And
It's how
the
the
anime
emperor treated
starts
everything.
like 7 years after Japan was taken over. And the main character is basically Lelouch Lamperouche, who is, how is it called? Like an exiled
He's the
prince
exiled
of the Britannian
prince.
Empire.
Yeah.
He is a son of the big emperor, the 98th emperor
The
of
leader
Britannia,
of-
which is
yeah.
Charles.
Yeah.
Charles Lee Britannia.
Yeah.
And he
So
got
he's
exiled,
been exiled, right? With
and
his
he's holding a
sister.
grudge against his father for that.
And he's also
Why is he
hiding his
holding a
identity,
crutch,
though.
Fabe? Why?
Oh, he's holding a crutch because his mother died, and Charles had a lot of women.
Was killed.
A lot of women he had children with. I think, how many are there? There's probably like 80 or 90 princes and princesses.
There's so many
No,
princes
there was at
and princesses.
least like 20 or 30.
like
I
Natalie.
don't think it went that
Natalie,
far.
Natalie called herself the 87th heir to the throne.
Right.
Was she really the 87th?
Yeah,
The
she
87th
was
heir
like
to the
pretty
throne.
far. Does
So
would that
includes
all
male
be
and female.
children?
Lelouch was the 17th heir to the throne.
Yes, he was the 17th.
about busy.
Yeah,
And the
something like
11th
that.
prince. So he had a big
crazy.
family.
A big family.
Well, that's pretty interesting how like, I mean, this tells you something about the backstory and how specifically the governments were ran, because it wasn't just males taking over the throne. It was
Right.
also the females.
Right.
Yeah.
So they had the opportunity to become empress.
Because
Or emperor.
Lelouch's mother is murdered, so he and his sister, he is exiled, and he and his sister are hiding under a different identity at this
In
point,
Japan.
right?
Or in
In
Area
Japan,
11.
yeah, in Area
Yeah.
11. I
To
guess we
lead.
probably shouldn't explain all of this, seeing as
No, I
everyone's-
think you probably know most of it if you
seen it.
watched it. So yeah, the first episode, well, is basically the interesting part, because then Lelouch gets his superpower, the Geass.
the Geass,
Which is
where
basically-
he can control people.
If he watches, I mean, you know what the Geass is. I don't want to explain everything. I mean,
Right,
you're going to
right.
assume that you've watched it and you know what his power is and the Geass. So he got that from C2, that was before in the hands of the government.
Huck, want to
All
take the
right,
next one?
so we kind of let's skip a little bit, and we're gonna go into more of when Zero kills his brother Clovis.
But not brother. They didn't have the same mom.
They had the same dad, so they're half
Same
brothers.
dad, yeah.
But they still considered.
Still,
interesting thing that
they all consider each other as siblings.
It seemed like all of the brothers and sisters were decently close.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you
That's
look
true.
at it, even though they were battling against each other for power and stuff. So Clovis was the viceroy over 11, and pretty much, yeah, because his brother. That's crazy.
Killed
Yeah,
his
that's
brother.
interesting because, I mean, it was really kind of like the shock. He could just kill him like that. Like, they didn't show it in the episode. Like, they showed pulling the trigger, but they never showed if he actually shot him until the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it was like the biggest surprise that Lelouch was just able to kill everyone like that from the get-go.
Yeah.
Like, that was just his character from the beginning.
Right. That
Shows
immediately
you how
when he gets
upset he
the
was.
power, he doesn't even hesitate to just use it. And not just use it like in a peaceful let me go way, but in a kill yourself way.
That was the interesting
It
part.
shows
When
his
he
aggression.
was cornered by this army's guys, he killed him, and then the first expression of his face was like really shock.
Yeah.
Like it looked
I
at
just
the
do
first
that?
moment he regretted it,
Yeah.
and maybe like was shocked by what he did.
Yeah.
But the same moment after that, he just started laughing and said,
Right,
"Yes,
because
this
he
is the power."
realizes
It was
this
kinda
is what I
interesting,
needed to like. What's interesting too is he had this plan before he even got the power. You know,
Yeah.
like he intended to do things before he even got the power, and now suddenly he has a way to do it. You know.
Well, I think one of the things, especially when he first gets the Geass, and I think this is almost with anyone that gets the Geass, it's almost like their body automatically kind of shows what the Geass is. And we can actually, we'll explain that more actually when we see more of that throughout the storyline. It's like when it actually manifests in the person, it's like they automatically use it. And I think that's one of the reasons why he was so shocked. Is because subconsciously, he wanted to do all this stuff. I mean, he was bored,
right.
obviously. That's why he was gambling with chess, because he knew he could kick their butt. But it was just just something that he did because he had the power, because his mind knew it, and then afterwards he realized really what he had now.
Yep. It's very true.
That way he knows what his power was, because there was no way that he knew once he got the power, oh, this is my power, I can do it now. I just think that it was an involuntary action. Just how he acts, just instantly he did it and then was shocked afterwards.
Yep.
But isn't Geass the power like that your heart most desired?
It
It manifests in a way that your heart most desired. I think that's
right.
what
Well,
comes to
it's
light later.
interesting because it's. I guess we could get to that. Yeah, let's try to rush through the plot line a little bit.
Okay.
So after that, we kind of skip ahead. He kills Clovis. Then he reveals himself as Zero, this new character that he's created to carry out his plans to take over Britannia,
mask,
or to ruin Britannia.
And he saves Suzaku when he reveals himself.
Yes, he saves Suzaku, his childhood friend. After that, there is the terrorist group of the Japanese taking captive the Britannians in a hotel. And that whole situation happens, a hostage situation.
And this was
that's
the
where
first time that they actually worked together.
Yes, and so Zero
very important, I
intercedes,
think.
though, as with the Black Knights. That's when he presents the Black Knights as being fighters of justice, to come and...
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Because
that
it
was
doesn't
an
matter what
important
side you
move.
are, as long as it was
That was a very
justice.
important move to side not with the JFL.
Right, yeah, because it's interesting because he tries to, almost differentiate himself from being just a straight-up terrorist.
Yeah.
But he is very anti-Britannia, So it's like the institution more so than the individual people, though.
It's
I think
also
that's kind of the
interesting.
difference.
I think during that episode he also meets Yuffie for the first time as Zero, and she
Right,
kind of sees
right.
through him at that point already. And he didn't kill her, so he doesn't really have a grudge completely against the Imperial family.
Right.
But
It's
just
his
certain
father.
people of it.
Yeah, the ones he thinks that are tied into his mother's death.
Yeah,
Those seem to be the only
the
ones
fact
that he-
she even showed kindness during that whole incident, so it wasn't a necessary thing for him to do it. So
But
it was all strategic.
that was already something that led kind of like his. I mean, I don't know. Do you think it would have been a better picture for the Japanese if he would have killed her?
No, well, the reason why he didn't... this is why I think he didn't kill her. There was no reason to kill her.
Right,
because Clovis was pretty much gave the order to murder all the 11s.
Yeah.
True.
There was no reason to kill her.
True.
Clovis was actively like responsible for what was happening to the 11s, whereas Yuffie was just kind of a pawn still. Like she wasn't...
Yeah.
She had a name and a title, but she wasn't doing anything actively.
Yeah. She didn't command anything. Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
And everything that he did, I mean, we'll see throughout it, was to gain the people's...
Yeah.
It was all about the people, not about any institution or anything like that.
Oh man, there's so much that
just keep on going. So the next part, that really, after the hotel, there's a bunch of stuff that happens, but really what we'll get to next is Shirley is a classmate, and she discovers who Lelouch is.
That whole scenario.
This was there's a lot of plot turns in this, and this was one of those that stretched out, I think, for almost the rest of the series, really, to really impact a lot of the stuff. And then Valletta, I think that's right.
Yeah,
Valletta, if you remember, she was also the second person? Second person that he used his Geass on. Got involved because of that, which one of the points that I thought throughout this whole series, I think he used his Geass sometimes in a very efficient way. Yeah. But at the time, this is why this is one. At the time, he didn't know he could only use it once.
Yeah. Well, he used it on Colin
Valletta
right away.
Really just stuck him in the side.
Yeah.
After this, and then Shirley, that girl.
I don't
know how she
Poor
did
Shirley.
it. Seriously, I don't know how she did it.
Poor Shirley.
She found out that he killed her father.
Her father, because of that one
the
raid.
landslide, right? Yeah. He caused the landslide, which kills her father.
And then she forgives him, basically,
she
right?
Forgives
I mean,
him
not really.
because she loves him. I mean,
well, Mao had a lot to do with that, though.
That is true.
He got in her head like none other because he could read the thoughts.
That's true. But
I think that was the first time another Geass turned up in the series.
Yeah, that was the first time another Geass showed up.
So Mao shows up, and then Shirley forgets everything.
That was like heartbreak for me.
That was so horrible.
I have
Lelouch did that.
I have an incredible weakness for people losing their memory. I don't know what it is, but that's
it's like their identity,
Yeah. That hurt me a lot.
Yeah, I was really upset about that.
And especially the scene where they were at this memorial, and she forgot who he was, and they were just talking there. Oh my god.
It was so sad. So sad.
I mean, that was one of the...
It was kind of interesting to me that the school kids didn't think anything was really that weird. Because she, I don't know.
That's a weird school.
Personally, I feel like if they were like, oh, they had a fight and she's pretending like she doesn't know him. There's an extent where you would be like, okay, something is seriously up. Like she seems to literally not remember she doesn't even call him Lulu.
Yeah, that was a little bit over the top.
So it was a little bit surprising that these dense
he probably didn't
kids.
have to erase the memory of him completely.
Yeah,
that was a little bit over the top.
So that was pretty tragic to kind of lose that relationship. Had to completely stop.
I mean, also the fact that he went to the point where he used his Geass for one.
It's true.
On someone he really cared about.
That was the first time he did that too, right?
I don't think he really. I know he didn't show it as much, but I mean, if she would have. Never mind. I'm not going to get to that yet. But this is super important.
Yeah, after Shirley forgets, we skip ahead a bit. Yuffie chooses Suzaku as her knight. So this is a huge thing because he is in 11. He is Japanese. And yet she is selecting him to be her knight in shining armor. They also have that really interesting relationship going on there between the two of them. After that is when all the craziness happens at Kamina Island whenever Zero and Suzaku face each other face to face, though, on the ground. And they're about to die because they're going to unleash that weapon. I still don't understand what the weapon was.
It's like a particle cannon,
like a
I
cannon.
guess.
It was a
Yeah.
new weapon that just
It was a
Right,
new
it's
weapon.
a new weapon, and it's a cannon.
So they basically
that's when-
trapped Suzaku and Lelouch in the circle.
Right.
And they couldn't get out.
And then they're like, okay, so we're going to just destroy them both. So the
Yeah.
Britannia is ready to sacrifice him.
And Suzaku was ready to be sacrificed.
And
he
was.
just held Lelouch there.
He was ready. And that's when Lelouch decides, like, he gets angry at Suzaku, you know, for being so careless with his life, and he uses his Geass on him. And it's like, "Ah."
And that's like
You
really
must
important.
live, turning him into the ultimate like weapon, basically. The ultimate
Oh, yeah.
warrior.
Well,
all of a
not
sudden.
really. I mean, everyone has this urge to live, the survival instinct. Just Suzaku lost it, kinda, and he gave it
Yeah,
back to him.
but he almost gives it to him like so intensely that it drives him even more. I feel like
He was
well,
the
and there's
first
even
one,
parts.
later on to
Right.
really use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
as
later
an
on, we
advantage.
see him actually use it as a tactic, you know, rather than just
Yeah.
like a will to live. It's actually a tool. Okay, whew. So after that, Nina finally meets Yuffie. She fangirls over Yuffie, and then she finally meets her.
There was this one
outside of the
scene.
museum.
I don't know if you caught that.
I caught it. Yeah, I know the scene.
We didn't. Do we have to bring that
We don't
scene
have to
up?
talk about that.
Was that
scene.
really what I thought it was?
I think it's what you thought it was.
What do you think it was? Because there were several things I thought it was.
I
I
have
was
never,
confused at
I have
first,
never
but-
seen the scene before. I watched it a couple of times. I never. Paid
You
any
never
attention
caught
to
that
scene.
before? Man.
No.
Yeah, so I
Really?
was like,
the
did they just show that? Because like, there's nothing else like that in the rest of the show.
Yeah.
You know.
Like what? I don't even know what use it served really.
I think it just
just
showed.
showed how
It
obsessed she
showed
was,
her,
right?
yeah, her deep obsession for Yuffie. So, yes. So Nina finally gets to meet Yuffie, and Yuffie is very inspiring to her though, and actually has good conversation, builds her up, you know, and stuff, and it's
They
fine.
build each other up.
They do,
They
because
did,
yeah.
Yuffie learns from her too. They learn that they're kind of the same. After that is when Yuffie sets up the specially administrated zone of Japan.
Ugh.
And she basically punches Lelouch in the face with that. Like,
Right.
Oh man.
And
Just
that's
the whole
gonna kill.
plan's just
It's gonna destroy Lelouch's plan
All of a
because
sudden,
that's
Britannia's nice.
yeah, Britannia's
I'm
nice.
unemployed now.
They're starting to do what you
Yeah,
wanted to
pretty
do, so you have no reason to be doing what you're doing. But what's amazing is
It was so happy though.
he gets on board. You know?
Yeah.
He's willing to give up his fight for you because Yuffie is doing it, you know. And he like recognizes that she's accomplishing what he wants, and then he's a freaking idiot.
No.
And his
you
Geass
can't-
goes out
you
of
can't-
control.
You can't blame him. Here's the weird
Why?
thing.
But okay, here's the thing. Like, yes, I realize it's just a flaw. It's a mistake that happened. He knows how much power he has, and he knows how much power his words have.
But
And
only
so for
if
him
he
to,
uses
like-
it actively.
Oh,
Yeah.
but for him to like carelessly say something like that is just so to tell
But
her.
he had control though. It was in control.
Well, but see here, right before he did it, he tried to use his Geass on her, and it failed, right?
No.
No, he didn't
And I was
use
really
it.
confused.
Because you would have seen the eye. And
Oh,
you would have seen
okay.
It.
See, because
They
I
would've-
thought he tried
yeah.
to use it on her and it didn't work. So I was like, he should have known something was wrong then.
What I don't understand is when the Geass becomes out of control,
Hmm.
it's becoming more powerful.
Yes.
You're right.
But it didn't become more powerful.
it
It
did in
worked
a
always
way.
without him having to activate it.
But that's not. I don't think. But I don't
well,
think
it's
that
like
as more
it's
powerful.
like
More
almost a
powerful,
lack
but
of
stronger.
control.
Like the same happened to Mao because
Yeah.
he
I
couldn't
get it,
control
but then
what-
again, like with Mao though, his extension like grew,
Right.
and he could like it was more.
and he couldn't filter it out anymore. That's
Yeah, he
Yeah.
couldn't filter it out anymore.
So
But
it's I
with
think it's that control.
Lelouch-
It's sudden lack of control of the power
It
over
just
the power.
grows too strong to control.
I guess
yeah,
so.
That's what I think.
I don't know. I just like at that point, I'm like, couldn't you just now use it on anyone without having to,
I still think that's like the worst part in the whole series, though. It's
and
so
it has to happen at that moment.
horrible. And poor Yuffie. You can
That was
even
the first
see
time we see someone struggle against it.
right.
Actually
It's
fight
true
it.
when
because
she's-
it's so against who she is. You see that like struggle, and then just the darkness of like her still being herself.
Yes,
It's
like
saying,
she
"Are
was
you
so.
Could you please kill yourself?" Like
Oh my
telling
God. I
the
guess
crowd.
you can't.
It
And then she just shoots in this crowd with
I
these
know.
millions of people.
Why didn't he
It's-
grab her when she was like right
He
in front of
didn't
him?
stop
He was
it.
trying. He
That's
was
what
trying
I'm
to get to her, but he
That's
couldn't.
ridiculous. He did not try hard enough. I mean,
well,
he
but
knew
then
what
very
happened.
quickly he decided, I need to use this to my advantage, and he tells the Black Knights that they've turned on. Like he throws her under the bus.
Yeah, but,
Yeah, but
he had
it
no
took him
choice
a
at
while.
that time.
He was really desperate at that one moment.
He had no choice.
He could have been honest.
No, he
No,
couldn't.
what could he have done?
If he would have been honest, he would have been murdered, and then
Yeah.
like it
well,
wouldn't
he
have
could
worked.
have told at least like the Black Knights what happened.
No, this was the whole thing. He needs to take all the blame on himself.
Oh,
Well, he didn't do it at that
so-
point,
He
I guess.
didn't though.
No,
See,
he wasn't
could
there
have.
at that point.
He could
No,
have.
I mean-
I feel like before this point, his plan was different. His plan was not to be the enemy. His plan was not to take all of the hate, I feel like, until after that.
His
But
plan
he
was
said
to
from
kill
the
his father.
beginning. He said
mean,
from the
that's-
beginning.
You have
Only
to destroy
those should
everything.
kill who are prepared to be killed. So
Right,
he
and he did
planned
say
on
you
being
have to
killed.
destroy everything before you can create something new, too.
So he did plan to be killed in the end.
Oh, man.
I don't
It's
think so.
crazy.
I think all
I
he
don't know
cared
if he
about,
did.
all he cared about was killing his father.
Yeah, that's true.
That's all he cared
He
about, and
wanted to
finding
d-
out who murdered
He
his
wanted
mother.
to bring justice to his mother.
And through that, he was going to make an empire to be able to do that, because he wouldn't be able to just get to his father without.
Right, he had to have a powerful team behind him in order to even reach his father and hold him accountable for what happened to his mother. Okay, so we keep going. United States of Japan is revealed by Zero after this point. He takes advantage of that situation, gets the backing of Japan, the rest
And
of
then-
the rebellion. And then there's the epic battle where they are
Tokyo.
facing the Britannians, and they are tentatively winning, you know.
Yes, it was close, but
They were doing very well, and then Nunnally is kidnapped by V2. Is that when that happens?
yes, V2. V2
V2
shows up
enters-
and just kidnaps Natalie
And we have no
without
idea
any
who he
context.
is, even.
Yeah.
He just disappears. And then, of course, Lelouch, since he's doing all of this for her, he just leaves because she's the
You-
priority,
He
not this
abandons the
rebellion.
battle
It's
and all
her.
his people.
And so then they lose, and they lose their faith in Zero a
Well,
bit.
I mean, to him, she could have died.
Right.
I mean, that
and then
was-
it would make everything that he did for naught, you know?
Yeah.
It would make Yuffie's death.
I mean,
not
he's taken
mean
care of her
anything if he-
his whole life
he
ever since
lost
that
Natalie.
incident, and then she's gone.
He's doing it for her, you know? Oh, man. Okay,
It
so
was
then we
also-
dive into...
What happened in this battle, I don't know, that's kind of like my little storyline that I like, Nina's storyline. When
Nina,
she came up
yeah,
with this atomic
yeah.
bomb for the first
Is that
time.
when that happens there? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
she
because
comes
they were at
out
the
with the
school.
nightmare holding this atomic bomb and wants to blow
yes.
up everyone.
Yes, yeah. She's ready to go to the extreme.
Like, that was
For
insane. And,
Yuffie.
and that was also when Lloyd and
avenge Yuffie.
Rakshata both combined and said,
Yeah,
guys,
they agreed on
stand
something.
back."
Yeah, yeah.
Those two are, by the way, one of my favorite characters.
I love that. Yeah,
I love those two.
those two. The intelligent scientists who are just kind of on the sidelines, like making things
Yeah.
happen, but not taking any of it too seriously. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
it's all for science to them. You know,
Yeah.
Well, Rakshata,
To
I
an
think, was
extent.
a little different than Lloyd. Lloyd was psychotic.
We're
Lloyd
going to talk
is-
about that later, I guess. Let's go through
Lloyd
the story
is-
first.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so season 2. We delve into season 2.
So
Which
season
starts
2 is 1 year
out-
later.
Really confusing.
Yeah,
It-
you're like,
it's-
what is
If
happening?
you haven't watched it, it's going to be confusing.
It's confusing.
Yeah.
'cause-
So I hope you
well,
watched it.
Yeah, so then Lelouch has no idea who he is, basically. He's got all these false memories that were implanted by his father with his new fake brother, Rolo, who we later find out has a Geass as well. But he manages to realize this because the Black Knights rescue him and
Yeah, they
manage to
intercept him.
is
C2
it
C2
C2
like
tries
touches him
to-
and
Yeah,
then
C2
no, she
gives
gives
him his
him
memory
memory
back.
She kisses him to give him back the memories.
Right, and then he has like the journal, not the journal, but the logs where people were keeping track of everything that he and Rollo did, and then he can kind of see what's been happening. So he keeps up the lie really well.
Yeah. That's kinda crazy.
Meanwhile, he does manage to go back to working with the Black Knights, though, recreates the United States of Japan, comes back as Zero.
This time,
Which was ingenious,
together
though,
with
where
the
he did
Chinese
it at.
Federation, though.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of important.
Right. Yep.
Because
Yep.
he made a deal with the Chinese.
Right. Well, it's
And
bringing
he made
in
a deal with
another
Diaz
power.
on him.
It's bringing in another power all of a sudden. It's no longer
Yeah.
just Britannia versus
Yeah.
Japan.
That makes things even more complex.
Yeah, it
I love
does. Let's make it even more complicated. He also then discovers Rollo's Geass, manages to convince him that they're on the same side, that they are brothers, even though they aren't like literal brothers, but that they can be brothers in their
One of the biggest tools
goals.
he used.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rollo's
he
a big-
really
Rollo was a
uses
tool
Rollo.
to him.
Poor Rollo. I feel really bad for Rollo.
But Ruler
Though-
was messed up
though
from
I
the
didn't-
beginning.
I
At
know.
first, I felt bad for him, and then when we get
Yeah.
down a little bit later, we'll talk about how I really
Right,
felt about
right.
Rollo.
So then after that, Suzaku isn't convinced that
Well,
he
Suzaku
is...
comes back, first of all. Suzaku was at
Right.
the homeland this whole
Right,
time with his
right.
majesty and serving him directly.
Yeah, serving His Majesty directly. Like
And now
the
he
enemy.
comes back to Area 11 for the first time. He brings
Yeah.
2 Knights of the Round.
Yes, who joined the school as well. Lelouch is still pretending that he has he still holds those false memories.
Mm-hmm.
So Suzaku tries to test him by making him talk to Nunnally. Rollo intercedes, stops time for Suzaku so that he can
I don't know why he
pretend.
did that. Like, that didn't make sense. He could have pretended from the beginning he didn't know her.
Well, it
That's
was a
true.
shock. I mean, for that, I think.
Right, he was caught off guard, and I mean, Nunnally is his world, and Nunnally is the reason he's doing all of this.
And he hasn't
Wait,
heard or
wait.
anything for a whole year.
Yeah,
that's
so he
right.
doesn't
Nunnally
even
was
know
still- yeah.
what's happened to her because she's been kidnapped by V2. He doesn't know that. He only knows that she's
So he
gone.
couldn't lie to her.
You know
That's
what
why.
we missed?
What?
The whole big reveal of that Lelouch is Zero at the end of the final battle.
That's
of
true.
season
That's
1.
true.
Like,
Did that-
Suzaku
did
and
that
Colin
happen
both
yet?
find out
Oh yeah, Colin.
that Zero is Lelouch.
Oh, for some reason I didn't think that happened yet. But yeah.
No. And I
Yeah,
think
that
it's
did. That
interesting
did happen.
On, I mean, the aspect of you find out your leader could have been controlling you.
They,
You know,
they didn't find that out yet. That is
Yeah.
true.
No.
Yeah, I
she
think
finds
so.
out. Him and Suzaku
Suzaku
find
telling
out at the
her
very
when they
end
have
of
to face
season
him?
1 because V2 tells them, and they're the two that know,
Right.
and then everyone else finds out later on
Yeah.
At the
through
battle.
the experiments. So she knows, and that's why she was questioning him if she used it on, or he used it on her.
That is true. I
I
remember
can't
that.
remember
She asked
exactly.
him directly. Did you use it on me?
Mm-hmm.
And he said,
Oh,
no,
man.
it was all your decision.
Okay. So, we're going to keep going.
Keep on going. Chug
Then
along.
he tries to rescue Nunnally. He has a conversation with her. He realizes that she is siding with the Britannians. You know, she wants to become an active part of everything that's happening. And
She
she's-
came back to Area 11 by
right
herself. and
intentionally.
she also told him that she wants to recreate the specially administrated zone
Right.
of
She wants to
Clever.
carry out Yuffie's dream, you know? And so he finally, like, he has the opportunity again to help, you know, make that happen. Oh, gosh.
No one fell for it this time, though. Like, they
I
said
know.
explicitly that not a single Japanese signed up for the zone.
Right.
And he was
This
gonna
is also,
use-
like, well, and right after that is when Suzaku finds their, like, the Black Knight submarine. And he tries to attack them. He fails. And then Zero announces that he's going to side with Nunnally and he's going to try and help.
Yeah.
And that's when they move there. Oh, and then the exile. And then there's
the big exile.
of
That was an
1
awesome
million.
trick.
I want to know how many people thought that he was actually going to sell them all out at that
I
little
didn't.
conference.
I was kind of anticipating that, actually.
Really? That he was going to sell
That he-
them all
that he-
out?
I was
went out on
I
a-
was like, are they gonna pull a V for Vendetta? It's kind of what I thought. And then when
Yeah.
they whipped out the masks, I was like, oh, they're totally pulling a V for Vendetta. You know, it's that same kind of idea. But yeah, that was a pretty cool moment, though. And even the moment, that little brief moment between Ogi and Valletta,
Yes.
whenever he says goodbye, you know, and she can tell it's him as soon as
Yeah.
he speaks. And whenever
two.
there's about to be violence even, right? And then he intercedes
Yeah.
and says, no,
He
you
gets
have to
in
let us
between.
go. Yeah, like to protect her again. And that's how she knows from that in the voice. So they leave to the Chinese Federation, and suddenly they're in this new place. There's lots of promise going on, but at the same time, they're still in a tricky situation. Then suddenly they realize that the high eunuchs are basically selling out China, the Chinese
Politics
Federation,
never
rest.
to
Yeah.
Britannia.
Politics
Britannia.
never rest.
Like the
Because
Empress
then they
should
can
marry
be-
Odysseus.
The first prince.
The first prince, yeah.
That
That's
age
kind of
difference,
crazy.
though. Yeah.
But the first prince was always kind of like this noob, you know? Like, it
Yeah.
was always the second prince who was important for some reason.
Yeah.
He was not as.
You didn't see him, but he wasn't like a. I don't
He
know.
was at the
He seemed to
conference when they
do-
were
he
at the
seemed to do
conference
all
table a
the,
couple
like-
of times.
Yeah, he seemed to do a lot of like the negotiation.
Yeah.
He
but
didn't
never
really
did
actively
something
partake in
important.
battle or anything like that, but he was like one of the people that would kind of consult with other parties. Organizer.
So he
He
was
kinda
supposed
come
to
out of the
marry
blue.
the Empress, and that's the first time when Lelouch and Schneisel are face to face. Or Zero and Schneisel, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And they played that chess game, and
That chess
Schneisel
game.
loses on purpose, and Lelouch doesn't take it. I could have slapped him for that. He should have just
Yeah,
won.
I'm like just. Well, you know what? I had a moment like that actually. I played chess once, and I didn't understand like all of chess. It was at a chess club in elementary, and literally a guy did that. He took his king and put it right in front of my king, and I didn't take the king. Like I didn't
Zero
think I
confirmed.
could do that. But yeah,
Yeah,
it
that was.
interesting.
I don't know why he did that. I didn't quite understand his reasoning there.
Mm-hmm.
It was a
But
pride
then
thing.
Nina
It
tries
was a
to
pride
kill
thing
him,
for
and everything's interrupted anyways.
Oh my gosh. Things get so insane. Okay,
And
and then they
instills
kidnap
the
the
Empress.
Empress. They kind of team. Is that around when they team up with
Shin-Kei?
Shin-Kei? I can never say his name.
Yeah. It took a
To
while.
rescue
First
him.
it was
Kind of a
Shin-Kei
weird-
and Chinese Federation and Britannia against Lelouch. And then once they find out that the High Eunuchs want to kill the Empress, Shin-Kei sides with Lelouch.
I love the fact that they publicly like broadcast that.
Yes, that was
yeah,
an amazing
That was
yeah,
awesome.
that was a good moment. That was a really good moment.
And then the whole Chinese Federation just goes up in flames.
Oh, it does. It does. So good. All you gotta do is reveal that nugget of truth. After that is when we go to the G train station.
Oh
where
yeah, Jeremiah has
Lelouch-
come back. Orange Boy.
Orange boy.
Orange Boy.
comes back
Ah,
with the,
I love his storyline too. Like,
with the Geass Eliminator. I know, like starting out when his character was first there, I was like, "What is up with this guy?" Like,
yeah.
he's just psycho, and he's like a kind of a weird character to have in the mix.
But this whole orange thing.
I know, the
I
orange
loved
thing.
it.
It's so good. At first,
When I-
I'm like, "What is he referring to?" Like,
Yeah.
why is he? But then that's the brilliance of it.
That's
Is
the
he's
point.
creating
The-
like suspicion.
You know, it's interesting that they never explained that in the anime. Like,
They
you know,
didn't,
he just
no.
says that, but he never said that it actually was a trick.
Isn't that right? Orange boy, and then suddenly
Yeah.
everyone's questioning him. You know,
Yeah, that was
just by
genius.
calling him a name.
it almost shows you the just how everyone treats everyone in the nation.
Right? Yeah.
Like if
The
they're gonna get something
suspicion.
on you, they're gonna get something on you.
Like the
no
level
matter
of
what.
suspicion is pretty intense. So then Jeremiah ends up teaming up with
Well, before
Lelouch.
that, he uses his Geass Canceller on Shirley, just randomly in the city.
Right.
He didn't
and
even
random-
know. He didn't know. He just
So
used it
Shirley
in the
suddenly
area.
remembers everything.
And he breaks the Emperor's Geass too, so
Hmm.
he was definitely not under orders from. I think that was already when V2
That was V2
did
trying to
his own thing.
Yeah. Going doing his own thing, and then she had like that was like when her story started picking up again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at the train station.
And then the train station.
Oh my god. Everything was perfect. Like, okay,
It was
she
so
wanted to be
set up.
basically part of Lelouch's army and everything.
It was so ready. Everything was ready and perfect.
Everything was
and
perfect.
We were finally going to be happy, and then they killed all of our joy.
Rolo.
Freaking Rolo.
Rolo. So much hate.
So I don't understand
Rolo
that
thought that she was gonna kill him,
Right.
kill Lelouch.
It's
It doesn't
so-
make any sense because she said to him,
She
that
said, yeah.
she
He's
wants to help
paranoid,
him.
though. He's paranoid,
He is paranoid.
and
Yeah.
he doesn't.
He's
he wants his
determined
brother's
that he
love.
is like protecting
He
him,
wants
and he
his
is all that he
brother's
needs,
love.
even, you know.
Yeah, and he wants to be the only one
But
who
he
has his
shoots
love
Shirley.
Yeah, he was
I
gonna
can't
kill.
believe that.
He was gonna kill Yuffie,
too. Natalie.
or not?
Really,
Yeah. Natalie later on.
That whole situation though, where when he finds Shirley though,
Oh my god.
it's just
I cried
the
out. I
worst.
cried.
Yeah.
out.
So bad.
I yelled out. I yelled
I
it
was
out.
really, really angry.
Like
And
Shirley
what's
was.
interesting is right afterwards, Rolo shows up,
Uh-huh.
and yet again you see Lelouch like shut down Mask.
He is good at
doesn't
that.
even
He had to.
acknowledge.
Well, I mean, by this time he was a
Doesn't
master.
even
I mean, think of all the
acknowledge,
people
like,
I mean,
that already
Rolo could have
died.
killed him at any point. If he crumbled, he would be dead.
Why?
If
but
Rolo
why
finds
couldn't
out-
he have told him this was one of my allies? Like, I think in that case, he really is trying to shield Rolo from guilt. Because
Really?
Rolo was naive. You know, he didn't know. He didn't know who
Well,
Shirley was.
he had
but
to
I
keep
feel
on
like
going,
he could
though.
have.
He had to
He could
keep on
have told
going.
him.
Yeah, that's
Shirley
right. He
was
could have
my
told
friend.
him.
She was siding with us. You shouldn't just kill anyone you see.
That is true. He could
Like,
have tried to
he
educate
could have-
Rolo a bit.
Yeah, he could have
But
tried
at that
to.
point, he would have became emotional, and I think he couldn't have done that.
Maybe
It would
maybe
have
he just
ruined
had to
it
shut
would have
down.
ruined where they're going. It
And
would
also,
have
he was
ruined
so
the
broken
loyalty.
at that moment anyways. He probably had to
Right,
shut down
right.
completely.
It's true.
Otherwise, he couldn't have
That's a
covered
good
it up.
point. Someone
Because
also
he had
pointed
to
out.
reward him for doing something good.
Yeah, and he also
to keep him next to him.
someone just pointed out that Shirley he didn't know Shirley had her memory back at that point too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He
how-
just seen the
yeah.
gun.
No, Rolo said she regained her memory.
That's right. Yeah, Rolo did say that.
Oh.
But at the same time, she was at a
Right.
state where she could have been just saying, "Oh, I want to help out and then kill you because you killed my father."
It's so bad. Anyway,
It
it's
was
so
really
bad.
a shock, that's for sure.
Rip Shirley, rip Yuffie.
I mean, we're already ripped out with Yuffie and
I
everyone
know.
else.
They didn't
And
have to
then-
do it again. It was a low blow. I agree. Okay. So after that is when they have their assault on the Geass order.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he wants to
They
eradicate Geass
massacre.
completely at this point.
I know.
Because
Which
and
is
they
understandable,
massacre
though.
all of them. It is a
Which is
massacre.
understandable. I mean, at this point, he's like, Geass killed Shirley.
Right. Well,
I
Geass
must
has
kill
and,
Geass.
killed-
and Yuffie.
And
Geass
Yuffie.
has killed like everyone he
everyone.
cares about.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know the extent of it too. Like he only knows about he and Mao and Rolo, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know for sure that Charles has it. And then that's
Well,
when
at this
he
point, he
first.
does.
He
That's
knows
when,
that
no,
Charles
that's
has
when
it.
he first meets
He remembers.
Charles,
He
right?
remembers Charles using it on him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You're right. With the
The only,
thing. Yep,
the only,
yep.
I mean, yeah, he's learning, and at this point, he doesn't even know the extent, and that's probably what's really dawning on him.
Yeah.
Is there's an order, I got to get rid of them, and then they go,
Mm-hmm.
and then the boy, which was, I'm actually glad that they took time to show some of the kids,
Yeah.
and the kid that controlled the guy.
Yeah.
I think that was really
they appear
important to
so
show.
Innocent, and then
Yeah.
immediately their first action is to make them kill each other. You
Yeah.
know, you realize like they are weapons. Like, and
Yeah.
it's horrible. And that's when he finally faces Charles, though. But it's after Charles has already accepted the code from V2.
V2. So he was already immortal.
So
and
V2 is
dies
dying. V2 is dying and dies, which they kind of just skip by.
there. Yeah, they didn't really show how he dies, but he did die.
Yeah, he does die. And
Well,
then
Well, from
fight.
blood loss and everything, because by that time he was mortal.
right.
That also shows kind of like that the injuries don't heal immediately. It takes a little while.
Mhm.
Because he was injured from the battle and he pulled himself to
He
the
climbed
gate,
all
and
the
then
way
Charles
to the
comes out,
gate.
takes his code,
Mhm.
and he dies.
Yeah, that's true. And C2 meets him there, and they have a discussion. It's interesting their relationship that they.
Yeah. That's the first time like C2 actually starts to have emotions, I feel.
Yeah.
Before that she was just, okay, it doesn't matter what you do, as long as you survive and I can die in the end.
Yeah. Oh man.
Well,
So
she started
then-
having emotions after Yuffie. That's
Yeah.
when it
Really?
really started showing
Kind
because
of. I mean,
because
it's
she even said
interesting-
herself, it's been a while since I felt
Yeah, it's true.
something to those lines. Because instead of scolding Lelouch and being like, Lelouch, you got to do stuff, stop whimpering about someone who died because you know that they were going to die,
Right.
which he did before, or she did before with Shirley's
father.
dad died.
Yeah.
He went through that, and she was like, well, you didn't think there wasn't going to be casualties?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
now Yuffie died, and she
actually
actually starts to
feels
feel.
something. Mhm.
So that must have been growing the whole time. So at this
Yeah,
point, she must
yeah.
be really humanized.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, slowly. Not quite yet, but a little bit.
She's starting
Yeah.
to, though. She's starting
Yeah, and
to
then
get more
Lelouch
emotional.
basically said, you should die smiling, right? And not
Yeah.
with this.
Not
weird-
like
I-
this. Not to Charles, who is already immortal, too.
Yeah.
I'm
I
curious
didn't
what would
understand
happen
that. Was
with
that
him.
just like he just wanted like reassurance on being immortal or
well,
something?
yeah, I think it's preventing Lelouch from becoming an immortal.
That's one thing. I also think that it somehow would have made his plan easier, like the sort
yeah,
of
I'm
Akasha
curious
thing.
about what effect would that have for him to
You know-
take on two
Well, later
codes?
on, it wouldn't have mattered because
No,
Charles
no.
wasn't trying to kill him.
They need C2 later,
They
remember?
do need C2,
when they
'cause
actually
show
want to
the
do that
tree.
plan,
Yeah.
they need C2 still, so he needs 2 codes.
He needs 2 of them for some reason to make that link, I guess.
It's not explained
I guess we
why,
gotta
but
get
he
to that
needs 2
too, still.
codes.
So
Okay,
after
so-
that, C2 forgets everything.
Yes, because
That
he-
was also, once again, that hurt me really. Like,
Yeah, that was
when
hard.
people lose their memory like that, it makes me just so cringe. So,
But
wow.
Lelouch experiences her life, though. He sees it
Mhm.
before that, like as that's happening.
She told him there what her Geass was, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
love.
That
Yeah.
she could make anyone love her.
Yeah.
And her story is really tragic and
I
interesting.
just think it's interesting that she's always had 2 personalities almost. One
Yeah.
before the Geass and one after, though. The fact that she's able to have this personality and stay inside her head, she didn't forget. She just became who she used to be and kept everything inside.
Well,
because
but she
later
still
on,
kind of
you
forgot
notice
everything.
Later
But
on,
she
you notice
loses
that
all
when
those
Lady
memories.
Marianne goes inside of her head
Yeah.
Right.
because she's just hiding in that area later on.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's when she like remembers too. So after that, the United Federation of Nations is formed. Then the Emperor challenges Zero to the battle. Like the
yeah.
big
So
epic
Lelouch
battle.
thought that the Emperor was dead, right? At that
Right.
point.
Right.
Or, no,
he did.
locked away.
Locked into
Locked away in the
In the Seas
the-
world, yeah.
yeah, that place, the Sword of Akasha.
Akasha.
Yeah. And then the Emperor suddenly was like, "What up? I'm back. Fight
And
me,
Natalie's a
IRL."
hostage again.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So then Lelouch is desperate, so he begs Suzaku. That whole
Yeah.
scene is just tragic.
Yeah.
With Suzaku like pushing his head into the gravel, like.
Yeah. That was crazy.
But if he just knew, if he knew the truth, it wouldn't be that way.
Yeah, if Lelouch would have.
But,
But
he
the
that
thing
wasn't
is,
part of his plan. Like he's taking on everything.
He
He's taking
can't
on
make
everything.
excuses for himself. That's
Right,
like the
exactly.
thing.
That was like the moment when I knew what he was doing.
Mhm.
Was whenever Suzaku asked him, "Did you use the Geass on Yuffie?"
Yeah.
And he says, "Yes." And he says, "Why?" And his answer is, "Whoops, I had to get Japan to side with me."
Yeah.
He went into that
And
line
that's
mode.
and that was like
Yeah.
the lie. And I was like, why is he intentionally? He's trying to get Suzaku to hate him. Like,
Yeah.
like he wants him to do this thing for him, but he is lying specifically to create himself as the enemy. Like he wants
Yeah,
to be
that
the
is
enemy.
true.
And that's when I kind of knew like what his end goal was.
No, I
But-
still didn't realize it at that point. When I
Yeah,
watched it for the
that's kinda
first
where
time, that is.
it clicked for me. I was like, he's trying to get them all to hate him, to like unify them, in hate of him.
Hate.
After that, the big battle, the
big
Flea.
boom.
The Flea, yeah. And that was also only because of Lelouch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like because he used the Geass on Suzaku. Suzaku was ready to die again, and all of a sudden, nope,
it's true.
can't
It's
die.
true.
Flare.
The Geass kicked in. He used the flare.
And then
So it's
curious,
like
though-
it's like that's that whole chain thing that they have throughout this whole thing, where like
That's
if
all
Nina
Lelouch's
hadn't,
fault,
if
really.
Yuffie hadn't, if
Yeah.
he hadn't used the Geass,
Big
you know,
bada
it took
boom.
all of those things to make this the flare.
what I found interesting about the flare is when
Big
Suzaku
bada
was in
boom.
the crater with Nina, he almost blames her for it.
Right. Well, he very bluntly is like, you didn't think this would happen?
Yeah.
You made it.
Well,
Like,
he learned that lesson that you can't,
right.
you know,
and Nina,
you can't live your life without killing people
Nina is
if you
like
want to change. If you
realizing
don't want to change things,
what she's done, you know, and he doesn't provide consolation though, which I
'Cause
kind
at
of
this-
like.
he just-
I kind of like that he's
yeah.
just like, you have to deal with it. This is what you did, you know.
Mhm.
This is the
And that's also
consequence of your
when she was
actions.
talking to Lloyd, right? When Lloyd said this one quote. Where did I write it down?
Oh Lloyd.
Abandon
like what?
science to preserve your heart, or abandon your heart and sacrifice yourself to science.
Yeah.
That was kind of like very interesting to
That's-
me.
Yeah, that's
to
an
read that.
interesting.
And
Like a forfeit of your morals and your dignity. as
quite
an
interested that a
individual.
sociopath was able to create that thought process. Though
I don't know if he counts as a sociopath.
he is, he
he
is-
calls himself a sociopath.
He's a sociopath,
And he
because
said
doesn't-
he was
doesn't
born
care
with
about
an
people.
abandoned heart.
He cares
He
about
does.
his work.
He does take the whole thing so lightheartedly. Like, oh my gosh.
What a pudding!
Yeah.
The
What
Earl of Pudding.
Oh my gosh.
That's so funny. Did
And
they,
then-
did they ever explain why?
No,
she
there is
calls
a
him-
scene at the end actually where they were in prison in the Lucius
Uh-huh.
Emperor and stuff,
Yeah.
and Rockshada and Lloyd
Lloyd.
were there, and then one of the others asks, "What's up with this name, by the way?" And then, that it was long in the past, and now that I think
Yeah.
of it, it was hardly anything. It was just a starting point. That's literally what she said. Cecile said that.
Yeah.
It was just a starting point, and I wish they would explain it a little bit more.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, I don't know what she meant.
I don't
At all.
either. Oh man. So after that, Schneisel exposed this Lelouch to the Black Knights. Like where
And he used
shows
that
who
to his
he is.
advantage.
Yeah.
Good lord, he used that to his advantage.
And that's before
Yeah.
they know about the Geass, though. That's just when they know who he is. Right?
No, already the Geass, too.
They know about the Geass.
Schneisel
too.
exposes the Geass.
Yeah,
That's
the
right.
guess and everything, like exposes everything.
Everything that he knows.
Exposed.
So that happens, and they kind of go against. Are like,
Well, yeah,
this
Zero.
guy-
They want to kill Zero at this point,
Right,
and
right.
Colin just stands in the way briefly, but then again, Lelouch sends her away, which is
She's
also very
questioning
interesting.
herself, like if she's on the right side, but she is the only one who doesn't want to like jump to conclusions.
I'm still
But
confused
it's
on
interesting
why.
that Lelouch once again takes the blame and
Yeah,
says, "I'm the bad guy, Colin. Hate me,"
Mm-hmm.
like that.
but why? Just because they found out a power, why do they just assume that he's using it for his own selfish means?
Well,
Because-
because he disappeared during the battle, because he never tells them about his plans. And
They
because
they
find
already
out,
had doubts.
and they find
But-
out about these
but
ulterior motives.
I mean, for me, I'm like, that's the point, though. There's a reason why he's doing this. There's a
right?
reason
But there's
why
a reason,
for all of
but
it.
he's doing it for a different reason than he has told them. You know.
But through
And-
through what he's going to accomplish, he's going to give them that. So why does it matter?
But a big part of it too, I think, is that throughout the thing, there's this ongoing debate between them and Zero about we aren't just pawns.
Mm-hmm.
Like them trying to argue for that they should be involved.
I
and
mean,
that
they learned. They
like,
learned
they
that.
trust him.
They learned that they learned that Lelouch killed all these Japanese in the stadium.
Yes.
That's, I think, the main
Yeah,
point.
that's a huge.
But that
they
was
learn
a,
about
that
Yuffie.
was
They learn that
an
he is
unintentional
responsible.
lie.
Yeah, but they don't know that. They
don't
only
know.
know
Yeah.
he
True.
used Geass on Yuffie and killed all these Japanese people.
Right. And he
that
tells
is reason
Suzaku
alone
he did it
to
on
kill him.
purpose. You know.
Like, they
So-
killed their own people. There's
did.
no way
They
they
did.
could have overlooked that.
Yeah,
It's true.
that's
That's
very
millions of dead Japanese people.
True. A million or how? Yeah, there was a lot. I can't remember.
There was
how
a
many.
whole stadium filled.
It was
The whole
almost
stadium.
the whole population, I think.
And
That's
also,
insane.
another point they brought up is that he sacrificed the JFL. All the
Right,
people,
right.
the generals.
Right. Oh, that's right. Because they listened to the tape conversation of Lelouch and Suzaku, so they hear him
That's right,
That
yeah.
too.
give that explanation.
Yeah.
Okay, then after that, Rolo.
Rolo comes
comes
in
to
and
life.
saves him.
He saves him, and then he dies.
That was pretty epic,
tragic.
I don't
that's the
like
part-
that he was so nice to Rolo in the end, because I still hated Rolo.
I was glad that he did that, because Rolo. I mean, see, I feel bad for Rolo throughout the thing. He's a very his existence is sad.
Yeah.
He has a limited exposure to people. The only thing he's ever known is cold killing, and no interpersonal real relationship, just the job. Lelouch is his first relationship, a real relationship, and I'm mad at Lelouch for using him the whole time. But I feel like that's whenever he's about to die and Lelouch suddenly embraces the lie that he cares about him deeply and he is his brother. That's a bit of mercy that I'm like, thank you for doing that for Rolo, because in his existence, it's the only
Yeah, he
thing
was
he's
happy
ever...
in his I can
He was
see that. It
happy,
wouldn't
you
make
know,
any
he-
sense to make him
so
suffer
sad.
more.
It's very tragic. His whole life is tragic, but
That is true.
At least he died making his own decision, though.
yeah,
I think that was the whole point of all of it. Even if, and honestly, I mean, that almost actually shows Rolo's real character, because he's been trained his whole life to do all the bad things that he's, done wrong.
right,
But his actual choice was to
Right.
save someone.
right. He sacrifices himself in the end for someone who honestly I don't think deserved his love, in the way that he gave it to him. Because
Yeah.
it was manipulation. It was a lie. But at least in the end, he let him die believing that lie, completely. So
Well, I think in a way, though, at the very end, I think Lelouch felt different about Rolo.
yeah,
at that
I think he
moment.
A
does.
little bit, yeah.
He does towards
I
the
mean,
end.
he was still mourning over his sister's death, but
Yeah.
I mean, he could have just,
That's right,
I'm gonna
Natalie died
lie,
in the flare.
I'm gonna live now, yay! Not gonna say anything. Let's just use this till the very end. But he didn't use it until the very end.
So Rolo dies. Then the
Rolo
Emperor
dies.
begins the Ragnarok connection.
So wait,
Ragnarok.
Lelouch realizes, okay, he can't do anything anymore. The only thing he can do is suicide attack on Charles.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
what his plan is at this point.
Yep, yep. And Charles is meanwhile getting ready to... He's been playing this whole different game the whole time.
Yeah, he didn't
And
care.
nobody knows it. Yeah, and so he's connecting all those artifact things.
And Marianne comes back too.
Marianne comes back and gives CC back her memory. And that's
And
when...
that's the first time it
when-
really is explained that Marianne is not just another wife of the Emperor that died,
That
but
she is
actually the most
actively-
important.
Right. Well, because that's when they finally have the moment of clarification at the Sword of Akasha, where Lelouch faces Charles and Marianne.
Big
And
family
he
talk.
realizes that they've been playing a whole different game together. They were working on it together. His enemy was actually not just, his whole
Yeah.
understanding of the whole situation was wrong.
The whole reason for what he was doing for his
Yeah,
mother
the whole
was
reason.
totally worthless at that point.
It was, because he thought that she... And you see that it wasn't even Charles. It was V2 betraying Charles that resulted in his mother's death. And so much happens in that episode.
And he couldn't
Yeah.
say
Suddenly,
anything about it because
your
he would
whole
have to
understanding of
expose
them is
V2, and it would have been just terrible.
And
So
that's
his
interesting. He
father put on
also
a face.
he said that he's sending away Lelouch and Nanali to secure them. And for me, I already felt, okay, he's not that bad.
Yeah,
But then he
yeah.
gets turned around again. And that
No.
made totally sense to me. I didn't think about the war that they brought on the country
Right,
where the
right,
children were
right.
supposed to be safe.
because in that moment where he says, we take the people we care the most about and we put them at a distance from us,
Yeah,
and
that's what C2 said at one point, right?
yeah,
Like
it
early in the
is
season.
because he says that about Shirley, that's
Yeah.
what Lelouch has to do with Shirley is put her away because he cares about her,
Yeah.
and so that's Charles's excuse for sending them away. And there is a moment where I was like, oh, Charles, but then Lelouch's comeback of being like, why did you send us to Area 11?
Yeah, that is
What
true.
were you thinking? And just that they were being selfish. He basically calls them out, and that's the whole debate there, right? Because then that's where Charles and Marianne are trying to achieve this dream that they have and this vision for the entire world to no longer be the world, but to be a collective conscious of peace, to become God, basically. Destroy God is his goal.
To kill God is what they say.
To kill God. But that's what I don't understand, is because they're basically becoming part of it. Right?
They mean, V2 explains, they mean a God. When they say a God, they mean pretty much the hatred, the unpeace.
The chaos. The
chaos was the God that they were trying to kill.
Wasn't it something supposed to connect everyone
together
so they can't lie anymore?
That's the collective conscious. So there's only absolute truth is basically the idea. There's no longer any deception because we're all just our existence. We're all just our conscious, and that everyone is connected together. So, but you lose the whole reality that they have there on Earth in the process of that. So it's interesting. It's almost like wanting to bring everyone to suddenly a superior existence.
They want to fuse everyone.
Right.
Well, it's superior but completely dull existence when nothing happens.
Well, and it's an interesting topic because it ties into like other stuff in our own real lives, with a lot of discussions and things I've thought about a lot, but like the necessity of suffering, and like, because Lelouch says without suffering, how is it life? Are you living if there's nothing happening? If there is no struggle, if there is no peace,
would be more suffering because people would really know what you're thinking about them. We put filters around ourselves to not just protect us from everyone else, but protect everyone else from us. Lelouch's life is an example of that.
He's doing all of this for them, even though it's all lies.
Yeah.
So
it would have been more painful for everyone else.
Right. Well, and that's where finally Suzaku and he both agree. They're like, you don't have the right to make that decision for the world to forfeit, their lives
and the
for this new experience. Yeah, their struggle. Like you kind of remove the validation of the struggle, I guess, in a way. Yeah. And then
Suzaku and Lelouch connect.
Yes, so they both connect there. And that's too when Lelouch then uses his Geass on the collective unconscious, on God. And what's interesting is when Charles is like, you can't force God to do what you want. And he says, it's not a command, it's a request. And
I think he's worded a little bit differently. He said it is a request.
Like that. Yeah.
But
he said, I'm not commanding him. It's a request.
No, I think it was not commanding. I think it was something else. I can't do that and that, but that's a request. Mm-hmm. I don't think it was about the command thing.
And then he sends his Geass up there.
I don't quite remember what it was now, though.
I can't remember the word for it.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of cool because it shows, the 5 people that were there were invited besides one.
Right.
Suzaku was not invited, but they let him in. So in a way, I think what happened was God, whatever it is, looked at what they were doing, was trying to grant Charles and everyone else's request, but one decided not to. One disagreed. And it took one to destroy that dream and that idea. And I think of that as communities or as just our lives. It takes one person to disagree with everything that we're doing.
Right. Well, and simultaneously, his thing is you're one man and you can't make this decision for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
to Charles.
And it took one man to not make the decision.
Yeah, I like
even though
these
more
two
than one
quotes
person wanted it
from that situation. One where Charles says, "We're all liars. My goal is to kill God and smash the world of lies." So that's his goal, and Lelouch's response is, "What I want is tomorrow." That as soon as you remove all of that there will no longer be a future,
Yeah.
So, interesting.
Very interesting concepts there.
That whole scenario is crazy. And then we jump ahead.
And then it gets crazy.
2 months, I think it was.
A couple months, yeah. To Lelouch.
Epicness. I loved that so much.
Right. Oh, I guess we should mention they destroy it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they destroy.
P.S.
Sword
They
of
destroy
Akasha.
it. It's great.
Charles and Marianne die.
Right. They
C2
both
was supposed to
disintegrate
die,
into
but she
purple
changed
glitter
her
bits.
mind in the last minute.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She was someone's accomplice. Couldn't let him down.
Yeah, she had to finish the contract too, or he had to. That's an interesting topic, actually.
Well, I don't think they necessarily finished the contract yet.
Yeah, I know.
Because
We'll
I mean,
talk about
think
that
about
later.
it. Just because everyone, like Mao, didn't finish it.
Right, Mao didn't finish
Like there's
it.
so many people with Geass that didn't finish the contract.
I know.
And the
that's
contract
true.
is
Which
just
is
for
why
people who
I
get
think
to the
that's why
point.
there's so many people with Geass. It's like because they have to just
Yeah.
try someone new, you know.
Like the only one who really did the contract was Charles and
Charles.
C2.
And C2, yep. C2.
Anyways, a couple months later, Lelouch turns up.
The
Epicness
99th Emperor.
of the Holy Britannian Empire with Suzaku as Knight of Zero. Oh man, I was
The Knight of
that made me
Zero,
so-
that moment.
Ugh.
It's
That
so
was epic.
perfect because of like just the Knight of 1, Knight of 2, Knight of 3,
Yeah.
and then he's Knight of 0, and
Forget your
it's
1,
so
I raise
good.
you 0.
Yeah, I raise you 0. It's so
That was
good.
so epic.
But at the same time, you're like, holy crap, what are they doing? You know, because they're taking control of everything, and then they go in to join the UFN, and then they take them hostage. And then the
There was
Damocles
this
is
epic battle
revealed.
between Suzaku and Bismarck first about the who's the better knight.
Oh
of
gosh,
the-
yeah.
I love that too. Like that's
Bismarck
one
is
of
a
the-
Geass user.
creep.
Bismarck was another Geass user. You could see in the future, like a couple of seconds.
I thought that was the Knight of 1 that could do that.
That is Bismarck.
That's Bismarck.
Oh, that is Bismarck. Oh, right. Yes.
Because he was.
And
yeah.
that is also the moment whenever Suzaku uses his Geass to survive.
Yes.
Because he sees it blinking. You see it blink, and he's like, I can't win against him. So he leaves. He retreats at that point. And that's
He
like...
doesn't retreat. He
Bismarck
dies.
dies.
Whenever, no,
Bismarck
no.
is killed by Suzaku.
No, Suzaku.
Oh no, that was way before. That was before they went to the Seas world.
Right.
When he
right.
says,
but
"Oh,
I
I
meant
gotta
to
leave."
mention that before is what I'm trying to say. Because like Suzaku, that's when
Yeah.
Suzaku uses his Geass as a tactical advantage rather than
But he
just
didn't.
like.
He didn't fight Bismarck. He actually ran.
I know because he saw
No.
when
He
tried
fought on
to use
foot.
it.
On foot, he ran.
Yeah.
On
when
foot
they
he
were
ran.
in the.
That's what I mean.
When they're.
And then his Lancelot Albion later, he beat him.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
because you
when
see
he
the
used it.
moment where his like Geass flickers and he says, "If I try
Yeah.
to fight him, I'm gonna die," and he knows that because of the Geass, and so he
Yeah.
or not the Geass, but his thing that.
Control.
Anyway, that was an
Revolution.
epic battle.
Anyway, epic battle, very good, much enjoy. So the UFN being held hostage, the Damocles is then revealed,
Thing's
Oh, yeah.
full of
massive.
Leias with freaking Schneisel coming out of nowhere, taking over everything.
Yeah,
Who's going
and
to-
that was crazy because before Schneisel was always kind of like the voice of reason.
Right.
He was the semi-nice
Right, he
guy of
was.
Britannia,
Seemed like he was the
Right.
nice guy, and then whoa.
and
Good
then he
guy
shoots
Britannia.
Cornelia. What?
He
Good guy
doesn't just do
Britannia,
that. He
and
just
then he's-
destroys the main city of Britannia with
Pendragon with the
Pendragon
flare
with
destroys
all the
it.
people in it.
And he lies to Nunnally.
Yeah, to
That's when
Nunnally.
you see that he has that manipulation.
That's like the first time Schneidel is the real bad guy all of a
Right.
sudden.
And
All of a
he's
sudden.
giving everyone like a false sense of trust.
Yeah.
Because it's crazy.
He's basically like Lelouch, only more
He
evil.
is like Lelouch. And that's the big battle, is the two of them playing their game of chess with the world,
But I don't
Yeah.
think though. I don't feel like Lelouch would have gone to the extent of. 'cause
No,
he was
no,
Planning,
he
he was
wouldn't.
planning on destroying all the main cities with
Yeah,
the flare.
no, yeah. He was
Yeah.
he had a
He-
similar idea to what Lelouch did of destroying everything and starting fresh.
No, I don't even
But
think that Schneidel had the same idea. Schneidel
Right, but
just wanted to
Schneisel is
rule.
more of like destroy them to scare them into fear of like following and being peaceful. You
And
know?
he even said, Schneisel said, "What are 1 or 2 billion lives if we
Right.
can live in?" Like that quote was insane.
Oh, Schneisel. Oh my gosh. And then Nunnally is alive and with Schneisel, who is using her.
Yeah,
She
that
has
is like.
But
So
also
then it's the big battle. The Black Knights with Schneisel with the Knights of the Round versus
And-
Lelouch and his army. Oh my gosh.
was
But
a
that's where they
massacre.
get to use that Flea Eliminator.
That was cool.
Where Nina kind of gets to
Yeah,
get a little bit of
herself a little bit.
redemption. Yeah, yeah.
That was
It's
pretty
crazy.
good.
I was kind of confused on how, like, the fact that she killed so many people was the only reason why she helped Lelouch. Like, she wanted
Yeah.
to redeem
Yeah,
herself.
yeah.
But
She wanted.
I
She
was
only
surprised
was
she
afraid that
able
her
to-
weapon was gonna kill more. That was the only
Yeah.
reason why she
Yeah.
helped.
I was surprised
I think she
that
didn't
she
care
was able
whose
to.
side she was on at that point. I think
She
she
just
just
wanted
wanted
to-
to save lives.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was kind of crazy.
it is crazy.
And they turn to the Black Knights as soon as Lelouch leaves the
Mhm.
Avalon.
Oh gosh. And then whenever they manage to get into the Democles and destroy it, and then Lelouch uses his Geass on Schneisel.
I thought he was going to kill him. I really did. I thought
I
he was
did
going to kill
too.
him.
I mean, but he's more useful alive.
Yes, for sure.
Oh my gosh.
And I was a little, I don't know, he used the same strategy already used for Mao.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think he used it somewhere else too, like where he pre-recorded stuff for
Yeah.
Colin in the beginning, when you
Yeah.
pre-recorded that phone call.
He does a lot of that. Predicting people's
Well, I think-
responses.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's also limited of writer's imagination, I think, to be honest.
But I think it's cool that you actually notice that what he says is always a little bit off to what the other person just said. You notice, okay, it could be pre-recorded if you pay attention to it. Like the conversation is not a clear answer, question and answer, or comment and answer. It's always, okay, answer, and then I say something unrelated but kinda fitting in the line what Lelouch does. So you kinda notice that it's not perfect, but it's always there. I love that bit, that it's not a perfect conversation.
Yeah.
It also works the way he did it was also attacking, not really, not so much question, but he was more the question set up to attack.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter really what they said. Their answer
There was a
could
lot
have
of
been
monologue.
anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is true.
So it was kind of it was a good tactic. I did enjoy that quite
Yeah.
a bit.
And then we finally get the battle between Suzaku and Colin. Their kind of final
the
epic
final-
battle in the
Yeah, where they basically beat each other.
and the Lancelot and the
Gurun.
Gurren.
Gurren.
Yeah.
Gurren Mark II.
Gurren,
No, that was
yeah.
not the Mark II. That was like the.
It was something
Gurren,
different.
whatever the heck it was.
It was
at
the
that
Gurren.
point.
It was still the Gurren.
It was the Gurren, but it was
Yeah.
something different because they got a hold of it, and I don't know
They
what
had
they
all
called
kinds
it
of
or
stuff.
something. I can't remember.
Yeah,
I watched that
that's
today, and I
pretty
can't
crazy.
remember. That's bad. But this while this is happening, though, the conversation with Natalie,
Oh,
yeah,
that was
that's
important.
when
and what I
Lelouch is
loved
talking
is
to her.
he didn't use his Geass on her until he knew what her true intentions
That
was.
she had the same plan, basically.
Yeah, she
She
had the
did.
same plan. And that's when he was like, it's okay for me to do this because I'm doing what she wants.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting that like in the end the siblings had the same vision, you know?
Yeah.
Or that she was willing to do what he was doing already. You know, it was kind of interesting.
And then
And then
the world unites
yeah, and
over
then
the hated.
And then he manages to unite everyone in their hatred towards him.
Well, that's
Yeah.
another couple of months, right? So he just
Right,
conquers
right.
the whole world, takes
Conquers
over
the whole world.
the
He stands on that
the-
map and does his speech where he like,
UFN, then takes the rest of the EU probably. I mean, he has the Black Knights and his own army. He's
right.
the only army in the world, pretty much.
It's crazy. And he has Schneisel now. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Well, what
Who's
happened
going
to
to face
Snyder?
him?
Because, I mean, think about it. If he would have kept him alive and he would have, I mean, because later on, what happens to him, I mean, wouldn't he come back to power, though? Unless he commanded him not to or commanded him to do
No,
something.
he said that Schneisel is to obey Zero, not Lelouch.
Oh,
That's
that's
true,
right. So he
that's
set
true.
him up for what happened
Mhm.
later. I see. That makes sense. I like that.
That is an interesting point that you
That
don't
is a great
realize when he
point.
first does it, but later you think, oh, wow. He thought ahead.
So now, the final act.
oh, and the
The
final
parade.
act. All hail Lelouch.
All hail Britannia.
All hail Britannia.
Makes
And
me cry
then
every
he
time.
makes his sacrifice.
I'm confused. Were they thinking like what was it? Were they thinking like Star Wars with having not only chained up like that?
Yeah, I
It's
thought
just
of
what I
Princess
thought of.
Leia.
Yeah, I thought of
whenever.
Princess Leia
It
once.
was kind of like the whole thing was so dramatic, like such a big show.
Well,
but,
that
like,
was kind of the plan.
That's the plan.
To make it as dramatic as possible, to make him really
Yeah.
look evil, like this disabled girl in chains on the bottom.
I know
Of his...
exactly. Well, she can see now though. That's good.
Yeah.
And I love though that Suzaku gets to be Zero.
Yes.
And he gets to be the one who does it.
Which is good because, I
And-
mean, he worked really hard.
Plus,
To
he
get
said
to a
he was the
point.
only one who would get to kill Zero,
Yeah.
like way earlier.
Yeah.
He promised Charles, right, that he would be the one to kill Zero.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Instead, he becomes
But
him and
He
kills.
became
This
Zero and
scene-
killed Zero.
This scene when he falls down and is next to Nanali, the background fades out in white and all these other characters show up again. I watched this series 5 times and I still cry like a baby.
It's so crazy. Well, because it brings everything full circle. You know that
Yeah.
he is willing. That all of this hatred that he's been building up and all of these lies were so that he would go down in history as the monster. And that everyone could be unified in their battle to get rid of him, you know? And
Crazy.
the martyr.
And
great.
you know, one thing watching this all the way through is at first you have this great, you know, you're excited to see what happens. And then as these people die, it's like you yourself have become tired and like the stress of Lelouch is on your shoulders
Yeah.
as you watch this. Because you feel like you've lost all your friends.
Yeah, you've lost everyone.
And it's like at the you think you're like, oh, this is bad, I just don't want to watch it anymore. It's not that you don't want to watch it anymore.
Yeah.
It's the fact that you are feeling this just as Lelouch is.
The
and
weight that
you
he's
at
carrying.
the end you have one person, two people you rely on.
Right.
And it's
I
so emotionally tying together.
Yeah, and part of it too is like, at that point, I feel like Lelouch wants to die. You know, like after everything, he's trying to build
He's a
this
martyr
world.
for-
I don't know
for
that
all
he
of
would
his-
even want to be there for it. You know, the one thing that I felt
What
that was
thing?
interesting to me is like he was doing all of this for Nanali, but I think once he saw Nanali making some of this stuff happen herself,
No, wait.
And
He
once he
thought
had to
Nanali
face
died
her-
in the flare.
right?
Yeah.
So from that point on,
He
wasn't
wasn't doing
anything
it.
for
Yeah,
Nanali.
exactly. That's what I mean. Like his motivation shifted from doing it just for Nanali, and in the end, when he dies, Nanali is the one who doesn't know everything that he did for her, and she says, "I can't live without you." She's the one who's like so distraught, you know.
Well, she realized it, didn't she?
Yeah,
I
she
didn't know if she
realized
did,
when
did she?
he
When
died.
he said, "I destroyed the world to create a new," she realized everything he did. That's
because it was the
moment.
same thought she was
man.
having. You know,
But it's
she
interesting
connected.
that like he had to, I don't know, he had to leave her sad without him in order to give her the
Yeah, but
world.
I feel like she realized
she
everything at
wanted.
the end and then regretted like everything she did. To do
Maybe.
what she did against him.
Maybe.
I was kind of confused. I know Colin was playing up when she said it's the real Zero because she knew who Zero was before anyone did, you know. And I'm like, was she doing that to continue the strength and what Lelouch was doing? Because
Yeah.
she
No,
seemed
she knew.
really
She
distraught.
also realized. Colin realized that she said that was your plan, Lelouch.
Yeah, she knew. She knew.
She knew
and
that
she
it was
was
Suzaku.
she was enforcing the idea that Zero is not Lelouch. Zero is all of us, you know.
Yeah.
Zero is bigger.
Yep.
Oh man.
So 2 questions.
Yep. We got questions.
First of all, do you think Lelouch survived?
Survived the end?
Yeah.
What?
No.
No.
There's the
No.
scene at the end where C2 is talking to him on this.
Yes, that
hay
is
wagon.
true. That is
And-
true.
They show the guy who's in front of it, but not his face. And he could have taken her code
That's true.
before that.
I don't.
That's so true. He could
I
have.
don't know.
He could
I don't think
But
so.
you know how? Because C2 could talk to Marianne, right?
No, but only because they
I know.
explained that they had this mind-to-mind
Right,
connection.
right. Well, it's because I was like, and wasn't that Marianne's part of her Geass?
No.
Probably, yeah.
Because her
Oh.
Geass was that she could imprint herself on the girl.
Yeah.
I can't remember her name. It started with an A.
Anya.
Yeah.
Anya. And then anytime she would make herself present in Anya, suddenly she could meet C2.
Yeah, and she could talk to C2
And
this
they
whole
could
time
talk.
anyways. Like, C2 was having all these conversations with
Right.
Marianne throughout the whole
right.
series.
So that's where I wonder, like, could she have been having that same connection with Lelouch where she was talking to him? Because that's what I assumed, is
I
that
don't think
Lelouch
so.
could now talk to
No,
her the
I
same
think for
way.
me it's either one of two options. First option, she just talks into the nothingness. So like, okay, like a monologue. Ha, Lelouch, I was wrong,
True.
it seems. Or is she really talking to Lelouch, who is sitting in front of the wagon?
He would
and
have
has her
healed
code.
if he had been immortal. He would have like healed. He would have come back, but we don't see. So
So they just
because she
go
could
away
be
from-
mortal at this point, you know.
She
And he
could be
have-
mortal at this point.
He
You
could
don't
have
know.
had her code.
She could be mortal.
Oh snap! Season 3.
I don't think so.
No.
Oh no!
No, it's definitely
I hope
over.
not. I can't take anymore. No,
No,
because it's
but
over.
I
They're happy.
like.
It's peaceful.
I changed my opinion every time I finished it. I was reading a bunch of stuff of people theorizing, and he could have taken her code.
He could
Wait
have.
a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I mean,
wait a minute.
that was the one unfinished thing. Was the contract.
I don't
Yeah.
think he took. I don't.
He never finished his
I don't think
contract
he
with
took her
C2.
contract. I don't think he took C2's immortality. I think he took someone else's immortality.
What? Who?
When Charles grabbed his neck.
No, because Charles dissipated
No.
into nothingness.
They didn't have a contract
Code
either. like-
transfer animation. I think so.
Oh, I
I
don't
do.
know.
I'm starting to think that.
I think
So you
maybe he
think
could have
Lelouch
taken
and
C2's.
C2 are living happily ever after?
Yeah.
Well,
think about it. What
my
did
hope-
C2
my
want?
hope is that
C2
he-
wanted to be loved.
She also wanted to die. 'cause
She
had
wanted
been
to die
alive for
because she
so
didn't have
long.
anyone to love her.
And she didn't have
That's
any
true.
feelings anymore at that
She didn't
point.
care anymore, but now
But she
cares.
did care now.
She started
she
caring
because of
again.
Lelouch.
So does it matter that he didn't finish the contract if he didn't?
Well, the contract was only so she could die. If she didn't want to die
Right,
anymore, she
right.
didn't have to. She didn't have to. And this wasn't my idea. I
But
actually
if
looked this up.
if he took her code, she could still grow until she dies, right?
Yeah, exactly.
would
I mean,
die,
it
though,
doesn't say
eventually.
anyway that
She
she
could
dies
still
immediately if
live
she loses
and
that.
then die a happy death, and the Lelouch would survive.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Lelouch
But-
took Charles Immord.
Oh,
I think so.
but they don't end the Geass really. They don't end it.
I don't know. To
Either
the
Lelouch
manga.
has
Is
it
there a
or
manga
C2
for this?
has
Let's-
To the manga.
No, it
yeah.
ended. The
Either
manga
C2
ended there
has it
too.
or-
It's just it ended there. They left it open for fun, I guess,
Oh
or to
my
leave it open
gosh.
just for the heck of it.
Let's see.
I
is there-
believe it's those two, and they live happily ever after.
Yeah, I like to hope that's a good theory. I like that theory that like maybe he even takes her contract and he survives and they live happily ever after until she dies and then he carries it on until whatever.
And then 1,000 years later, he starts it all over again because he wants to die.
Right, 'cause he wants to die. That sucks.
That would
Yeah.
suck.
Let's talk about Pizza Hut.
Let's talk about that. How many
Interesting.
times, Fabe? How
So
many times?
Huck, you are the one who pointed it out to me. I watched
did.
this series. I said how often I watched it. I've never noticed Pizza Hut in there.
Okay, so I noticed Pizza Hut, but actually,
You never noticed Pizza
I never noticed that there was Pizza Hut product.
Spunky
placement.
was
I
the
noticed
one
there
that
was a lot of
actually
Pizza Hut.
It's
really
like
pointed out to me.
everywhere.
Spunky actually was like, "We should count. You should count how many
Yeah.
Pizza Hut."
Well, the
And I
first
didn't
time
think
I
about
saw it,
counting
I
it.
was like, Pizza Hut. And then the second time I was like, Pizza Hut again. And then it just kept happening, and I was like, wow. Sponsored
I want
by.
Pizza
So I counted. In the first season, it turned up 6 times. Interestingly enough, it
6
turned up in
times.
episode 5, 6, and 7.
Oh.
Then not for a while, and then again in 12, 13, and 16. So they have it like in a row.
Yeah. Boom, bam,
And in
boom.
the second season, it turned up 7 times.
7
in the first
times.
episode, then 10, 12, 13, 14. So once again in a row. And then 16, 22. I guess it only turned up when they were at the high school. I had scenes at the high school. That's probably the main reason.
Oh, man.
Well, no. There was one time on the bus. There was one time it was advertised on the bus.
Like a bus driving by or something?
No. They were in the bus. You know, like the subway. It was like one of the advertisements up on the bus. It wasn't just the school.
That's pretty great, though. There's so
Yeah, that
many-
was a lot of... I mean, it's good if they can pay their finance their anime like that.
Right.
Like, I don't think a lot of anime do that.
It's true.
I don't know if it was. I'm curious. I'm curious on if the manga has it, and I'm curious if it was just something that whoever made the manga, they loved Pizza Hut.
Oh,
and they
that
put it
could-
in there.
Maybe.
You think?
Maybe.
I mean, because anime doesn't work that way. I mean,
It's
I
I
don't.
mean,
true.
it could
It's true.
work that way.
Maybe.
guess it
Get a little
could.
bit
You
of
never know.
financing.
It'd be
I mean,
interesting to find out
Sounds
whether or
more
not they were
American
sponsored by
animation, but
Pizza Hut. Another kind of unrelated thing, but I really liked this quote. False tears bring pain to those around you. False smiles bring pain to yourself. It's kind of I think, a good summary by C2.
That was there were a lot of good quotes in there. That's
There
for
were
sure.
so many good quotes. I feel like we covered most everything that we wanted to talk about just by talking through those.
One thing that we overdid that made me also really love this anime more is these epic sequences. Like the very first time the Lancelot launches.
Yeah.
That got me so excited. Like when they had this whole launch checklist basically, and then Lancelot ready to launch, and then he goes out there. I don't know what it is. That's might be just me, but that is also a point of the anime that I really love. This whole nightmare
Gundam
thing.
Geass.
Now, I
It's
have
really
to
well
say-
it's really well pulled off. The whole fights and stuff too.
I have
And-
to say I have never watched like mecha
Yeah.
anime. That's just never been a genre that I've enjoyed, except for Zoids when I was younger. That was the only one that I ever watched. But this was the first one that I've watched, and the feeling of all of it is different. And it's interesting with pacing in the episode, because they'll be like, in the episode they'll cover like a big conversation, but with like lots of clips of like a battle in between, like, so they split it up. But it was actually really interesting and cool to see like the variations of the Gundams and or
yeah,
nightmares,
the other point
nightmares.
was when the Gurren got his wings. When they
Yeah,
were
that was a
fighting for
good moment.
Nanali over the Pacific, the Gurren falls into the Pacific, and all of a sudden Rakshata comes up with
that
the,
was a really good
with
moment.
the submarine and fires the. That was also really epic.
When they get the Gurren itself is really good, because suddenly like they have a fighting chance. You know, before that they
I'm
can't stand
confused why
against
that
the
Gurren didn't have two arms that could do that.
Lancelot. Yeah, it was so cool when they would just
Style.
it's crazy. A lot of cool text.
But I think that is also something that Code Geass pulled off really, really well. I mean, it's of course not important for everyone, but I really love that stuff.
Yeah. It's the first time that I've actually like really enjoyed it, because I usually don't enjoy those types of things.
And
for
that,
some reason.
like a little bit of a fun story. After that, I started looking specifically, like after watching Code Geass, I looked specifically for these mecha animes for a while, and I watched like Gundam Suit,
Gundam
something,
Wing?
some of those, I think 00 Gundam or
Yep,
something,
yep.
and some others too.
All the Gundams.
Just because of that. They weren't as good, of course, but I
Right.
love the sequences so much in Code Geass. I think it was back then also the first one like that I watched, that I wanted to watch more of them.
There's good Gundam animes out there.
I'm sure there are. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't bad. I'm not saying it was bad, but it didn't. It wasn't
The
as good
whole
as Code
thing.
Geass.
The whole thing, like looking at the whole story, is just really impressive. Like the complexity of it and the way it all came together. Not
It was
just
definitely a
like
story
we
that-
just talked about the story, but on top of that, there are all of those like intense battles and the nightmare design. You know, the design of the things themselves, the character designs, like everything.
Like all
is
the
just
characters
so-
progressed in one way or another.
Yeah, and
like
it's all
even
so
someone like
well-
Nina and stuff, and how they.
Nina, Shirley, like there's a lot of characters,
Yeah.
but by the end of it, they all have like a lot of depth. You know,
Yeah.
like you've
Well, the
seen-
storyline was actually. It's
lot.
this is what it seems. It seems like the storyline and everything was made.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't made progressively throughout the anime,
Right.
because I mean, you'll notice that with some anime or some other like TV shows that they'll at the beginning of the next season they'll have to like start a certain way to add things or
Right.
add scenes that happened last season to make everything else sense. They didn't add anything like that.
No.
It was all well done progressively, which is one of the geniuses about the whole thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very well done. Very well put
Talking
together.
about characters, one thing that I noticed is that the whole like broken heart story between Rivals and Millie reminded
Rivals and
me
Millie?
Millie the Prez.
Prez.
Counts-
Oh,
Two
yeah,
Prez.
yeah. Oh.
Millie Ashford.
That's one of those
Who became the
weird,
weather
like-
girl, which is also kind of like deep in a sense, right?
Yeah, it is.
She
It
moved
is.
on from the high school life, and like that is also another side story that kind of was a little bit important. Like it felt
Yeah,
good.
it was.
Anyways, Rivals was the guy I was into Millie the whole time
The
and
blue
after
hair.
her.
Yeah.
And they reminded me a lot of Shuryu and Muriel from Lock Horizon. Like in all the ways. That's just what I
Yes,
noticed.
it does. And it's interesting to me that in this political crazy story about Lelouch and everything that's going on there, there's also these side stories like that.
At the high school.
That-
All these
at the
high school episodes.
where like chasing the
There was
cat
two, yeah,
and
the
like the Cupid hats
yeah.
and like it's just you get like these little tidbits of like slice of life feel.
And at the
where
same
it's, like-
time, it also progresses a story in
It
a
does.
in a way.
So
these
it's like
episodes.
such a weird mashup of things. I kept like, and it gives you like some happiness and some lightheartedness, but at the same
Yeah.
time, you know what everything else that's going on. So it's almost kind of tragic too. So
It's a masterpiece.
it is it's very well done. I can see why it's one of your top 5.
We have
Wrap it
a
up.
straw poll.
We do.
We
We're
do.
going to
Let's
take
do
a
that.
break. And in the meantime, we're going to give you guys a straw poll to vote on. So the question is, whose Geass would you most desire to have? The options, we went through and wrote out everyone who has a Geass. So Lelouch, who can control people. Charles, who can change people's memories. Rolo, who can stop people's perception of time. Mao, who can hear other people's thoughts. Bismarck, who can see into the future. Marianne, who can imprint herself onto someone else. C2, where everyone can love you, make people love you. And that Geass child, who can control other people's bodies.
Those
So-
are all the options.
Those are all the options. So during our break, we want you guys to go to the straw poll and vote on which one you would most want to have. And when we come back, we'll see what you guys thought. So we will see you guys in just a minute.
Yep.
All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. So the results are in.
It's
We gave them-
interesting. It's very
Yeah,
even.
I didn't expect Lelouch to come up first, actually.
well. It's close though. Like there's votes for
Poor
almost
Rolo.
everyone.
Rolo's
which is
the only one who didn't get a
interesting.
vote.
Yeah, but probably only because of his heart problem. Without his heart problem,
Yeah,
isn't too
it's
bad
true.
either.
It's true.
Yeah. It's the biggest thing. I mean, that's pretty much why he died anyways.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because he overdid it in the
Oh,
end.
he overdid it a lot. And he did it like in pulses, so his heart almost didn't like beat for probably a minute or so.
yeah.
Mhm. Oh man. Okay.
So-
who did you guys vote for? That's what I want to know.
I voted for the child.
You voted for the child.
I did. I voted
What?
because the ability to control someone's body would come very useful.
That's.
It sounds terrible. Okay.
I know you didn't mean it that way.
Sounds really terrible, but let's say, to be honest, let's say someone is attacking you. Stop. Turn around, walk away. I'm good.
But you could also do that with C2s, with Lelouch's, and probably also with
Lelouch's, you
Charles.
could.
Lelouch has the one-time
But it's
use.
a
Oh,
one-time
Rolo got a
use.
vote just now.
It's a one-time
Oh, did
use.
he? Lelouch has the one-time use
No.
issue.
Yeah.
Mao, I would go crazy. C2. I don't think that would.
it really love
someone could
if they're
fall in love with
forced?
you almost to kill you
Yeah.
because they
well,
couldn't
and
have
is
anyone
it,
else.
Is it really love if it's forced?
Exactly.
Yeah, can you
Charles,
really-
it just erases someone's memory. Like,
Not erasing.
No,
he can
no,
also
you
create 'em.
rewrite
oh,
it.
you can create. But
That would be
can
so
he only do it
convenient
once?
in
Can he only
like
do it one per person
arguments,
though?
or
Can he
if
do
you
it
make
several times?
mistakes. I don't know.
See, I think he's like, I'm
Well-
assuming it's like Lelouch.
And Lelouch doesn't know though, because when he faces Charles the second time,
Yeah.
he's nervous about making eye contact because he's like, if I look at him, he'll just rewrite my memory
The
again.
thing about Charles is, does
Who
he
did
need
you
to
pick?
control the memories he rewrites, or does he just say, okay, I want this memory to be written in this way, and it does it
Yeah.
automatically?
Yeah,
Because
that's a
when
good
he does it to
question.
Lelouch, it looks like he doesn't have to be that detailed to make it work.
Hmm.
And he also
your
did it
mind
for the
connects
whole
dots
student
anyways, yeah.
council, like
He
all
did.
of them. And so it has to be cohesive automatically somehow without
If you
him.
make
putting
make
too much effort
mistakes
into
or
it?
something, like I was just thinking in life, like you could meet a stranger and convince them that they were your best friend. You know,
Yes.
like 'cause you
Charles
could write
is-
that story.
If you use it right, you can probably do all the things you can do with others. Well, except stopping time.
like
and that
it's almost similar to Lelouch's, except rather than changing what they have to do, you're
you
like
can make them
rewriting
want to do them
their-
themselves because of
right.
their
You're
memories.
rewriting their identity. You know, like
Yeah.
or like so it's.
It might be even more effective than Lelouch's.
Because that's kind of what what Lelouch did to Shirley, is he tried to rewrite her memory.
Yeah, he erases her memory.
Well, yeah, it's just erasing. He didn't really recreate anything, which was an issue as you see throughout the series. Like at that time,
whereas if Charles had done it, he would have
Yeah.
been able to fill it.
but at the same time,
seamlessly.
Charles is really getting into more like the reason why I picked the one I did is because they still know that they're doing everything, but I can pretty protect myself or protect others. Like it might be
Yeah, that
forcing
would be
people to do something,
interesting.
but it doesn't destroy
It's like
who they
blood
are.
bending.
Blood
Avatar?
bending,
Do
yeah.
a flip.
Yeah. Which one did you pick, Fabe?
I chose Lelouch.
You chose Lelouch?
I chose Lelouch.
Oh
it's the
my
most.
gosh!
It makes the most sense.
How does
When
that,
I meet you, I
don't
make sure
know.
I don't look into your eyes.
It's less work than what Charles does.
Yeah.
It's the most useful.
I don't know.
Like
But
Mao,
it's a
I mean
one-time
Mao
use.
is
It's
okay up to a
one-time
certain
use.
point, but you're going crazy.
It's a one-time
Um,
use, and you saw the mess that happened from it.
But
Every little
you
decision.
don't have to take it that far. Although it is a little bit restrictive that you can only use it once. That
Yeah,
makes it kind of
yeah.
hard. But that's another thing. Excuse me, my my lash out. But talking about the
So
series, he used at the end. Lelouch used his Geass at people, saying, "You will follow all my orders from now on." Why does he not do that always?
Yeah, that's a good question.
He did that once.
Well, I'll chalk that up to the writers.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, back to the ones we chose. Yeah, it's for me. It was more like, okay, all the others are not that useful. Like Marianne, I don't know. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't really feel
Marianne,
like,
hers is interesting because you basically kind of get to keep existing.
yeah, you keep existing in others' minds, but I don't think that's exciting.
But you kind of take over their mind. So
you
it's-
can take over
It's a
their
little bit
mind, I suppose.
parasitic. I don't know if
But
I
she
would want
didn't
that.
for the most time, interestingly
No,
enough.
she didn't. She didn't.
And I don't know if she destroys Anya's memories. Like she can't keep memories.
She
if that's
can't
because
keep
of
memories.
Marianne.
That's
Right,
yeah.
that's what they
That's the
said.
issue. The
Is
mind
that's why
was-
she's taking pictures all the time, is to
Yeah.
try and document. It's so sad.
Yeah.
Oh. I
Um,
picked Bismarck, actually.
It's only a couple of
because-
seconds though.
But still, okay. I was tempted between Bismarck, Rollo, and Charles, actually. But I think I would personally like Bismarck because it would be really useful to be able to get that next step ahead. But it's entirely driven by yourself rather than manipulation of other people. Does that make sense? Like in a world where people didn't have Geass,
Okay. Yeah.
and I just had it, that would be really useful. But I also wouldn't be making a mess of everything.
But I feel like Bismarck
like-
is more good for like sports and that kind
right,
of
it
stuff,
would be great for that kind of stuff. But
and not.
it'd also be interesting. I wonder if he could use it in conversation.
It didn't look like it. Like he only
to
saw
predict.
these.
Well, he
after
had his
images
eye,
before,
he had his
basically.
eye like stapled closed the whole time.
Yeah, you only see it once when he uses it in the fight against Suzaku.
That's
when
where
he
like
sees-
I'm kind of assuming there's more to it than that. Like
Okay.
maybe
Okay.
he can. We'll
Okay,
stretch
there
it a
might
little
be.
bit.
Who knows?
A little bit of foresight would be pretty cool, I think. And
Okay.
not as invasive as a lot of the other ones.
That is true.
Pick
They are
the
all
peaceful
pretty.
route. Though I was tempted by Rolos, actually. I feel like that would be really convenient.
Yeah, if you didn't,
Yeah.
like, heart didn't stop.
Like,
Even if you
bump-
just in a conversation, okay, stop time, think about what would be the best.
Yeah,
answer
exactly.
Right now.
You could think
Bam.
through what you wanted to say. It'd be a lot easier to like filter yourself.
Although,
You could stop things from people from like hurting each other or something potentially.
but if it's really that exhausting to use it, I don't think you could really
the
concentrate.
stress on
probably.
you, the cost is a lot higher.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm surprised that Mao is there.
With two.
Though I guess if you didn't lose control of it,
Yeah.
like when you had control, it could be really useful. It's kind of like what I was saying with the foresight.
yeah.
It would be useful to be able to hear. I don't know if you want to hear everyone's thoughts, though. I feel like your view of
But
the world would be really.
He kind of perceives the future at the same time as the present. So I
Right.
think it would be very confusing in conversations.
It would be. Yeah, and yeah, what happens when you lose control of that Geass? You can't be around anyone, so that kind of sucks.
So that wraps up Code Geass.
That does. I think I mean, there's so much more we could talk about.
Yeah, there's
Obviously.
But you can talk
But-
about it in the comment section.
Yeah. Yeah. What thoughts
And
do
we
you
can
guys
always
have?
respond to you guys in the comment section. So
Right.
keep on
What thoughts
talking.
do you
We'll
guys
keep on
have?
talking
If
to
there's a topic that we didn't discuss related to Code Geass or something, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments down below.
you. Next time is April 4th. It's a Monday.
it's Monday,
It's a Monday.
3 p.m. Eastern.
And we will remind you again. But if you
Mhm.
want to get a head start, I'm super excited because we'll be watching. Should I tell him? Should I tell him?
You should tell
him.
him. Wait,
super
what is
excited.
it? How
I'm
is
excited
it?
because it's Orin High School Host Club. We'll be watching. I'm excited. One of my favorite animes of all time. And it's totally different than this
Yeah,
anime.
totally
which is
different.
very good, I think.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is good.
So,
It's
yeah.
on both Funimation and Hulu. So those
Mhm.
there's multiple ways to watch it, and there's what 25-ish episodes.
Yeah, I think there's around 25. It's between 20 and 25. I don't remember.
Cool.
Totally remember. Sorry, my bad.
So that's your guys' homework for next month.
Yep. And
So-
if you have any anime-related questions for us, or stories or experiences,
Right.
you can send them at our email, which is justanimeclubyt@gmail.com.
Or tweet us. Yep.
So we would
We're-
love to hear some stories of you, or if you have just
Mhm.
questions, you can also just
Mhm.
tweet them at us.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we can write them down. So thank you so much for the second official Just Anime Club meeting.
Woo! Meeting
Thanks for coming.
adjourned. Whoa! Right. Punched my microphone.
And yeah, we'll see you all next time.